Number 10. Lindsay Lohan. She was once the youngest and one of the highest paid Hollywood superstars who became a millionaire before being an adult. Fans remember Lindsay from her iconic role in Mean Girls, and she was once so successful in the industry that her net worth had skyrocketed to approximately $40 million. But today her net worth is around $800,000. So what happened? Long story short, she was living way above her means. Her extravagant spending habits reduced her net worth from millions to thousands. She was also pretty careless, and in 2006 she was reported to have misplaced one of her expensive handbags with $1 million worth of jewelry still inside the bag. She also tried to keep up with a party lifestyle and struggled with addiction from a young age. She ended up spending large amounts every week on her habit alone, which unfortunately lost her a lot of film roles as her habits started affecting her work. Unpaid taxes were another reason why she got tangled in legal issues. In 2012, Lohan owed a massive amount of around $233,000 in due taxes, and there are other forms of debt too, like a $100,000 bill for a limousine company. Number 9. 50 Cent. Not long ago, 50 Cent was one of the richest rappers in the hip-hop industry, second only to the billionaire Jay-Z. At the height of his wealth, Curtis 50 Cent Jackson was said to be worth $155 million after tax, according to Forbes' annual hip-hop's wealthiest artist list. In fact, he's been on the same list every year since its inception in 2007. But a flailing music career, several legal battles, and poor business investments plummeted his net worth by a whopping $200 million, forcing him into bankruptcy with a debt of $32.5 million. So what happened? Well, it really came down to reckless spending and the various lawsuits that he faced throughout his career, but also several of his investments went badly and lost a lot of value during the 2008 recession, and he eventually filed for bankruptcy in 2015. According to TMZ, he struck a deal to pay $23 million in debts over 5 years. The filing came several days after a court ordered him to pay $7 million to Lastonia Levinson, whose sex tape he posted online without her consent. But despite being debt-free today, it seems like 50 is still in need of cash and regularly rants about being owed money on social media. So it's possible that he never fully recovered from his financial woes. Number 8. Kim Basinger. In the 80s and 90s, with her old-school Hollywood glam, Basinger was everywhere at one point, with starring roles in movies like Batman, Never Say Never Again, and LA Confidential. But a series of terrible financial decisions left the once wealthy A-list actress practically destitute. So how exactly did such a popular and wealthy celeb end up in this dire state? Well, in 1989, Basinger paid $20 million for the town of Brazelton, Georgia. Yeah, she really bought a whole town. But it should come as little surprise that the purchase turned out to be a pretty terrible idea. Although she saw it as an investment and planned on turning the town into a tourist attraction by building a theme park, her dreams never materialized. Eventually, she sold it for a measly $1 million in 1993, making a staggering loss of $19 million. The bankruptcy was huge news at the time, and the actress also went through a messy divorce with her ex-husband Alec Baldwin, leaving her $3 million out of pocket, and she was sued by producer Carl Mazzaconi for backing out of an oral contract to star in a film. But despite being crazy broke, Basinger's finances have stayed out of the headlines for the last 15 years. Number 7. Nicolas Cage. The 58-year-old made his money by being one of Hollywood's highest earning actors and starring in iconic films like Con Air and Ghost Rider. In fact, he made $40 million in 2009 alone. But he eventually went into extreme debt after spending obscure amounts on his fortune on some insane stuff like a $67 million Tarbosaurus dinosaur skull for $300,000, or the 11th century Bavarian castle in Germany for $8 million. In 2006, he also bought a haunted house that belonged to serial killer Madame Delphine Laurie for $3.45 million. But these spending habits really caught up with him, and by the time he was 40, he was flat out broke. Cage tried to blame his money manager for sending him, quote, down a path of financial ruin. But it didn't help that in 2009, the IRS came knocking and claimed that the actor owed them $6.2 million in property taxes. But according to GQ, Cage officially finished paying off all his debts last year after signing on to star in The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent. Although his net worth is leagues away from where it used to be, a comeback onto the big screen could change that. Number 6. Lena Headey. The actress played Cersei Lannister on Game of Thrones and had a very successful career even before landing a role in the series. She was in iconic films like Terminator, The Sarah Connor Chronicles, and 300. However, her bank account was reduced to just a few dollars after her divorce, as a legal battle really took everything she had. In fact, Lena had less than $5 in her bank account when the divorce happened, and she was surviving on credit cards to pay for herself and her 2-year-old son's living expenses. After 8 seasons of Game of Thrones, she was doing well again and her net worth skyrocketed to $12 million. But it seems that the 48-year-old just cannot get out of financial trouble and is now being sued for $1.5 million by her former agency over alleged unpaid commission fees for the 2022 Marvel movie Thor: Love and Thunder. The agency alleges that Lena owes them $500,000 from her salary on the superhero flick and at least $300,000 for the mystery drama called 9 Bullets, as well as $650,000 for the Showtime series Rita. So hopefully she can get herself out of the lawsuit, but it could land the actress right back into another dire financial situation.
At number 5, we have Megan Fox. Not only did Megan Fox keep her pregnancy of her 3rd child a secret, but she also kept the father of that child a secret as well. When Megan stepped out on the red carpet to promote the film Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles: Out of the Shadows, at that time she was currently going through a divorce with her ex-partner Brian Austin Green. After days of rumors after her child was born, the paternity test of the 3rd child would be confirmed to be her estranged husband. Now the two did reconcile at the time of her pregnancy, but then would announce their split once again in May of 2020, and then Megan would get with MGK. At number 4 today we have Grimes. Grimes surprised all of us back in April when she told Vanity Fair that she and Elon Musk welcomed a daughter back in December of 2021. The announcement came just months after the couple had split in September after being together for 3 years. Grimes revealed the child to the journalist after she heard the baby crying upstairs and asked the singer if she had another one. Grimes would then confess to the secret of her new daughter and explain that she just kept it a secret for so long due to her using a surrogate and increased levels of privacy that came with the pandemic. Grimes would then reveal the reasons her and Elon decided to enlist in the services was mainly due to her complications from her first pregnancy with X. And number 3 we have Kylie Jenner. After months of fans speculating that the star was pregnant, Kylie Jenner finally shared her news with the world, and she and Travis Scott welcomed a beautiful baby girl in February 2018. Kylie posted a message to her fans in the world revealing why she chose to keep her pregnancy a secret alongside of an 11-minute video that followed her pregnancy journey. Kylie went on to say, "My pregnancy was one I chose to do not in front of the world. I knew for myself I needed to prepare for this role of a lifetime in the most positive, stress-free, and healthy way I knew how." With no one confirming the rumors and Kylie disappearing from the public eye, this was a long overdue statement we were all waiting to come out. Kylie knew her baby would feel every time she was stressed and knew her child would feel every emotion. So she chose to keep her pregnancy a secret so she could enjoy the process and feel happy. However, Kylie's video showed us how she went through everything and kept us to date on everything we missed out on. At number 2 we have Caitlyn Brown. When country star Kane Brown and his wife Caitlyn announced the arrival of their 2nd child on New Year's Eve in 2021, many were shocked as the couple never announced the news of their pregnancy. In a video montage posted to Instagram, Caitlyn gave fans more of an intimate look at her pregnancy. The post was complete with a few pictures of her growing bump and a sweet video clip of her and Kane's older daughter rubbing Caitlyn's belly. At the start of the video, in a text, Caitlyn would write, "Yep, that's me, and you're probably wondering how I ended up in this situation. The past 9 months I've been carrying something special to me. Choosing to keep my pregnancy quiet was the best decision I ever made." At number 1 today we have Eva Mendes. Just like the first time around, Eva Mendes and Ryan Gosling somehow managed to keep it quiet about the fact they were expecting their 2nd child. When Eva decided to barely leave the house, Ryan was out picking up food and running errands, which probably helped the couple stay quiet so long about her pregnancy. The actress was also able to adept at covering her bump and was even absent during the Cannes Film Festival where the couple's film Lost River premiered in May. It's clear someone needs to sign these two up for the job in the CIA because they are definitely good at keeping a secret, and so are their friends.
Starting off this countdown in no particular order, we have Woody Harrelson. Woody Harrelson's dad, Charles Harrelson, was an American hitman and organized crime figure. Yes, you heard me correctly. Beloved actor Woody Harrelson had a father who was a cold-blooded killer. He was just 7 at the time when his father first went to prison. It's said that he was responsible for the deaths of at least 20 people. In 1979, that is when Charles committed his biggest kill of all time. He took out a federal judge by the name of Judge John H. Wood Jr. He was the first federal judge to be killed in the 20th century. He was paid $250,000 to kill off this judge. It was because a drug dealer was about to be sentenced by this judge who was known as Maximum John because he always gave out really harsh punishments punishments to drug dealers. So he got Charles to knock him off for him, but this landed him behind bars and in solitary confinement. He was there until he was 69 when he died from a heart attack. Obviously, Woody does not want to be defined by his father's actions. In our 9th spot, we have Joaquin Phoenix. Joaquin is one of the few actors who actually grew up in a cult. He was born into the commune of Children of God, but when he was 4 years old, his parents managed to escape the cult and move. That's actually why they changed their last name to Phoenix, as it symbolizes rebirth, since they were able to leave this cult and start a new life. Unfortunately, he also lost his brother at a young age. In 1993, his brother River Phoenix died from an overdose. Joaquin witnessed this happen, and he was the one that called 911. In our 8th spot today, we have Phil Lewis. Phil Lewis is best known for his role of Mr. Mosby on The Sweet Life of Zack and Cody, and I freaking love that show. Like, it was honestly my childhood. While before his Disney Channel days, he actually killed someone. In December of 1991, Lewis fatally hit a 21-year-old woman. She passed away from her injuries from the hit. It was found that Lewis was driving while intoxicated. His blood alcohol levels were 3 times the legal limit of intoxication. As a result, he was convicted of a DUI as well as manslaughter. He was sentenced to 5 years in prison, 2 years probation, and 350 hours of community service. But he managed to only serve 1 year in prison. I guess Disney was able to overlook his past when he auditioned for Mosby on the show. In our 7th spot today, we have Tim Allen. Now, if you look at Tim Allen, you think, aw, he's such a family man. I love Home Improvement and Toy Story. He's a great actor. Wow. Tim Allen actually had quite a dark past before he got into acting. In 1978, Allen was arrested for attempting to traffic more than 650 grams of coke. He was arrested in Kalamazoo Battle Creek International Airport. Now, he actually would have served a lifetime in prison, but he avoided this by giving police information about other dealers. As a result, his sentence was reduced to 3 to 7 years. He ended up serving 2 years and 4 months in prison and then was granted parole in 1981. I guess that's why they say don't judge a book by its cover, because he looks like a wholesome dad, not a drug trafficker. In our 6th spot, we have Jack Nicholson. In 1974, Time magazine discovered that Jack's sister, June, was actually his mother, not his sister. How wild is that? So June was only 17 when she became pregnant with Jack, and she wasn't married, so her parents agreed to raise the child as their own, with Jane and Lorraine acting like his older sisters. So his parents were actually his grandparents, and his sister Lorraine was his aunt. In regards to his dad, we don't know for sure who is his dad, but some say it was likely June's manager. Other sources claim June really just doesn't know who the father was. By the time Jack found this all out, his mom, June, and his grandma had already passed away. Imagine how that would have changed his life. Like, he was raised on a lie.
At number 5, we have Batman's Batwoman actress, Michelle Pfeiffer. Michelle has not been quiet about her disclosure that she was once an addition to a cult in 2013. Apparently, this group was brought up by 2 personal Hollywood trainers, and they would ritualistically practice breatharianism. The practice stems from one's ability to survive without food or water, and sustain the belief that sunlight was the cure to providing everything the body needed. Michelle spoke with The Telegraph for an interview in 2013 regarding this, where she described how the group worked with weights and put people on diets. According to this interview, Michelle said they wanted sole vegans and were incredibly controlling. Michelle continued by explaining that she wasn't living with the group, but that she was there quite often, and how the group often pressured her to show up more frequently. Michelle said she was paying to be there at the time, so the experience was financially draining, among her other hardships. Lastly, Michelle spoke about how the group's highest state was breatharian. At number 4, we have Academy Award nominated Fatal Attraction actress Glenn Close, who opened up to The Hollywood Reporter in 2014 to reveal her position in her childhood cult, how she escaped the group, and the psychological damage it caused her. Glenn's father, Dr. William, reportedly brought his family to the right-wing religious group Moral Rearmament, or MRA for short, when Glenn was merely 7 years old. Quote, "For years, I wouldn't trust any of my instincts because my beliefs had all been dictated to me. You basically weren't allowed to do anything, or you were made to feel guilty about any unnatural desire.
If you talk to anybody who was in a group that basically dictates how you're supposed to live and what you're supposed to say and how you're supposed to feel from the time you're 7 till the time you're 22, it has a profound impact on you. It's something you have to consciously overcome because all of your trigger points are wrong. At number 3, we have charmed actress Rose McGowan. Similar to Joaquin Phoenix's childhood, Rose expressed how she also spent her early days in the Children of God. Rose's father partook in the Italian chapter of the cult, reportedly located on the outskirts of Florence. But Rose has been extremely vocal in her time so far regarding her experiences and her successful escape. In a People interview, Rose recounted witnessing sexual misconduct as a child while living among the group. I remember watching how the men were with the women. They were basically there to serve the men sexually. You were allowed to have more than one wife. The women would go to bars as lures and pick up recruits. They called it flirty fishing. For her escape, Rose took to rebelling by burning a wall made of Bibles and negatively responding to anyone who would ask her if she had, quote, let God into her heart. By the time Rose was 9, she removed herself from the group with her father once it was clearly brought to light that the group encouraged inappropriate relationships between adults and children. At number 2, we have the Arquette family, who disclosed that they were once a part of an unnamed cult started out by a bunch of friends. Actor David Arquette was born and brought up in a Virginia commune where he was living with his sisters Patricia and Rosanna and their parents. Patricia sat down with Oprah in 2011 to explain how said group desired to create a utopian society, where she added that the commune had no bathrooms, electricity, or running water. Patricia also revealed on a WTF with Mark Maron episode that her family parted ways with the commune when the members of the group's true colors began to reveal themselves, where she said, my dad said you bring the seeds of society with you. So you think this is all a great concept, but then suddenly you realize, oh, that dude has a real anger management problem, and this person is an alcoholic, and this person's greedy, and what are we doing here? Following their Virginia leave, Patricia touched on the topic of her family's return to Chicago before they finally settled in LA. At number 1, we have the Smith siblings, brother Jaden Smith and sister Willow Smith. While their group is not officially deemed as a technical cult in today's day and age, there have been allegations that both siblings are involved as active members in the Organite Society. According to the group page's Instagram, they are a, quote, secret society of individuals who create and place Organite to balance Gaia's energy. According to the group page's Instagram, they are a, quote, secret society of individuals who create and place Organite to balance Gaia's energies. The practice referred to as Gaia in question stems from Greek mythology and is the creator of Earth's personification and the universe, further known as Mother Earth. Both Jaden and Willow have been photographed with the crystallized orgone pyramids, which supposedly dispose of negative energy and instead push out positive vibes. However, according to arguable, believable, or unbelievable reports, the group delves into far more than just their unofficial trademark of good vibes only.
Number 10. Against discipline. Smith's unusual parenting style has raised eyebrows over the years, but he and his wife faced backlash in April 2013 when he revealed that they didn't believe in punishing their 2 younger children, Willow and Jaden. Will told Metro UK, quote, we don't do punishment. The way that we deal with our kids is they are responsible for their lives. Our concept is, as young as possible, give them as much control over their lives as possible. And when talking about the concept of punishment, they believe it has too much of a negative quality. Basically, their whole parenting philosophy is that they don't believe in disciplining their kids. But criticism of their parenting style really exploded in 2014 when 13-year-old Willow was photographed in bed with a 20-year-old actor laying down right beside her. The whole thing even led to an investigation by Child Protective Services. In an interview with BBC Radio a couple of years later, after the initial drama, Will actually admitted that he and Jada may have gone a bit too far in their hands-off approach, and perhaps should have kept a tighter rein on Jaden and Willow. Regardless of whether you think the Smiths were wrong in their parenting approach or not, there's no denying that it led to 2 incredibly creative individuals. Number 9. Wanting multiple girlfriends. While the Smiths are no longer trying to hide how they feel about open relationships, many people have actually taken more offense to Will's misogynistic comments about women, specifically when he admitted in a 2021 GQ profile that his fantasy was to have, quote, a harem of girlfriends. He proceeded to name Halle Berry and ballet dancer Misty Copeland as two women that he would invite to be in it. Then, under the direction of an intimacy coach that he had at the time, he researched them and even made plans to contact them. Quote, the idea of traveling with 20 women that I loved and took care of and all that, it seemed like a really great idea. Obviously, he never acted on the impulse, eventually realizing that it wouldn't be fun at all in reality. He apparently came to the conclusion that it would be horrific and it would in fact make him miserable. Can't really argue with that one, but it might have been a good idea to keep that fantasy hidden. Number 8. The entanglement. Musician August Alsina brought the Smiths' relationship into the spotlight in July of 2020 when he revealed that he was romantically involved with Jada, and Will knew about it the whole time. He had even given them his blessing. Although Jada initially denied the claims, she eventually confessed to being in an entanglement with August when she and her husband were separated. Quote, we decided we were going to separate for a period of time, and you go figure out how to make yourself happy, and I'll figure out how to make myself happy, Smith said during an appearance on the Red Table Talk in July of 2020. They both went on the talk show together, and in a heartbreaking episode, Jada told Will how she came to be romantically involved with August, and how he made her feel special because of what they were lacking in their relationship at the time. Will took the whole thing like a champ, but the clip went viral online because he looked like he was on the verge of tears the whole time that Jada was talking. Looking back on that moment now, it almost hurts to watch. Number 7. Strange beliefs. Jaden and Willow Smith have long been open about their bizarre opinions, but all of their insane comments have mostly been swept under the rug over the years. The siblings have also come out and labeled themselves as indigo children, who are believed to possess special, unusual, and supernatural traits that was popularized in the 70s. One of the most unforgettable interviews was done by T Magazine in 2014, who felt that their sibling dynamic would make them just the right people to talk about all those classic teenage topics such as quantum physics, prana energy, and the lucid, often elusive nature of temporal interpretation. Jaden said, quote, here's the deal, school is not authentic because it ends. It's not true, it's not real. Our learning will never end. And that kids who go to normal school are so teenagery and so angsty. He went on to say that you never learn anything in school. Think about how many car accidents happen every day. Quote, driver's ed? What's up with that? I still haven't been to driver's ed because everybody I know has been in an accident, and I can't see how driver's ed is really helping them out. I mean, we could break that down even more, but I don't really see the point. It's just funny because you know he was completely serious when he said it. Number 6. Hating on Aunt Viv. One of the most controversial opinions that Will has had is that of Janet Hubert, who played Aunt Viv on The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. When she left the sitcom due to creative differences in 1993, Will slammed his former co-star during a radio interview. All I can say is straight up that Janet Hubert wanted the show to be the Aunt Viv of Bel-Air show. He also said that she told him, quote, I've been in the business for 10 years and this snotty-nosed punk comes along and gets a show? Those comments marked the start of what would eventually become a 30-year feud. Janet claimed that Will spread lies about her behavior on set because he knew the audience was mostly on her side. It wasn't until the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air reunion special in 2020 that Will even acknowledged that he had made the set difficult for Janet during the 3rd season. It was a really sad moment because she admitted that the rumors Will started had cost her everything, including her career and her reputation, saying, quote, calling a black woman difficult in Hollywood is the kiss of death. Will only realized his mistake much too late and said that after having 3 kids, he's learned some things he did not know at the time, and he would do things differently with Janet had he gotten another chance.
At number 5, we have Lady Gaga. Lady Gaga definitely knows how to make heads turn, and before she gave us the iconic song A Poker Face and Born This Way, the singer was actually a stripper. After dropping out of NYU, she moved out of her parents' house, and to support herself, she began working as a waitress during the day and a stripper at night. Gaga turned into stripping because her personality was bold and strong, and her sense of sexuality and her love for the human body made her feel confident. Gaga has even revealed to the World's Fabulous magazine that her act was wild and she would wear black leather while dancing to rock and roll. She's also stated that she made more money stripping than she did waiting tables. Number 4, we have Javier Bardem. According to Javier, he started stripping as a joke, however, he got hired to do it again. He stated that while he was performing, it was a disaster and his mother and sister were out in the crowd to support him. On Ellen, Javier would say that he was 20 at the time, and after he got hired to perform, he was so nervous that he called up his mom and sister to accompany him to the club. When it was time for Javier to perform, he stated that there was only 3 people in the club. He was embarrassed, however, since he was a performer and he gave his word to do the show, he ultimately decided to do the show and became a stripper for the day. And number 3, we have Amber Rose. While some celebrities decide to brush their past right under the carpet, Amber Rose has always chosen to speak her mind away about them. One career Amber has always been very vocal about is the fact that she used to be a stripper. In an interview, she even claimed that she had some of her best times in her life while she was an exotic dancer, and she's even given some words of wisdom for anybody looking to join the field. The multi-talented singer has suggested that as long as anybody's looking to get into the field goes in with their heads up, stays sober, and focuses on making money, then the job will be like any other. She's also advised that anybody who's comfortable with their body should give it a try right away. After stripping, Amber would then move on to modeling and then to acting. And number 2, we have Trina. American singer Trina never wanted to do anything with music. So after high school, she wanted to pursue a career in real estate. However, when she accompanied her friends to shoot a music video, another musician noticed her and asked her if she ever wanted to give music a try. Trina would initially decline, however, she would later agree, and the rest is history. Now, before Trina became a musician, she has admitted that she tried dancing for money, but quickly realized it was never for her. Her career barely lasted a week before she decided to officially opt out. And at number 1 today, we have Kat Stacks. After being born in Venezuela, Kat Stacks would relocate to the United States when she was just 8 years old. She would then grow into the sensational rapper and hip-hop musician she is today. Apart from her music career, Kat has had a pretty controversial lifestyle, and she's even tried her hand at exotic dancing. In an interview with 97.9 FM radio, Kat revealed that she was a stripper at the age of, and she recounts her time in her as a stripper as traumatizing, and that she just did whatever she could to get by. Since entering into the industry, the rapper has never been short to surprise the world with scandals and controversies.
In at number 10, Janet Jackson. It's very rare that a celebrity in Hollywood is able to keep their relationship, or marriage for that matter, under the radar. However, Janet Jackson has been able to keep her multiple marriages and subsequent divorces all a secret from the tabloids. First, she was married to singer-songwriter Renee Elizondo in 1991, and that union remained under wraps until she filed for divorce in 2000. She then managed to keep her next marriage to billionaire Wissam Almana in 2012 a secret as well. This marriage actually really ended up changing Janet. She moved to London and abandoned her look to opt for a more conservative garb in the line with Almana's Muslim religion. The couple wed 2 years after they met, and much to everyone's surprise, the then 50-year-old Janet announced that she was pregnant with son Issa, who was born in January of this year. To even greater surprise, Janet then announced her separation from Almana 4 months later. In at number 9, Kathy Griffin. Kathy Griffin is typically all about the laugh, so it's really hard to believe her when she's talking about her late brother, a convicted pedophile. The public first learned about her older brother Kenny in her best-selling autobiography My Life on the D-List, and in the book Kathy spoke about growing up with her brother and how she felt a very violent energy whenever he was around. She even admitted to witnessing him beating up his own wife. What's just as disturbing was when Kathy explained how he was sexually inappropriate with her from the time that she was just a little girl. Ultimately, this shaped the way that she perceived the world and herself as she grew up. Kenny Griffin ended up going to prison and eventually passed away. In at number 8, Rose McGowan. Ever since the beginning of the Time's Up and Me Too movement, actress Rose McGowan has been an outspoken force for change. As a result, she's been very open about her own personal secrets involving mental illness and sexual abuse. Growing up, her life was plagued with pain because her parents belonged to a cult called the Children of God. According to Rose, the members believed in free love, and so she was raised in a commune where mistreating women was just normalized. She even cited that men in the cult would regularly mistreat women and force them to act as servants. In at number 7, Holly Madison. Having frequently visited the Playboy Mansion when she was a 20-year-old college student in Los Angeles, the aspiring actress decided to move into the the house a year later in 2001. The Oregon native, who was familiar with Playboy and had been a fan, soon became Hugh Hefner's lead girlfriend, and the two appeared to fall madly in love. Over the course of their 7 years together, their untraditional relationship was followed on the E! Channel series called The Girls Next Door. Holly acted as the loyal wife figure alongside co-stars and fellow girlfriends Kendra and Bridget. However, in a bizarre series of events, Holly left the mansion claiming that Hugh had refused to marry her. That being said, this is exactly how Hef wanted things to appear to the general public. In her memoir titled Down the Rabbit Hole, she spoke openly about the relationship and revealed some deep-rooted secrets that Hugh never wanted us to know. Apparently, he knew that she was unhappy and just ignored her. Upon reflecting on it, she said that even though she gave 7 years of her life, the man could barely have a conversation with her. In at number 6, Melissa Joan Hart. Melissa Joan Hart may be a happily married mother of 3, but during her time as Sabrina the Teenage Witch, she partied like every other Hollywood star. In the 1990s, she appeared to be this squeaky clean actor, but that was just an image put forth by executives. In her tell-all book called Melissa Explains It All, she speaks very openly about all of the secret stories that she had to keep under wraps while acting in Hollywood. In one portion of the book, she says that she experimented with weed, ecstasy, mushrooms, and mescaline for about a year and a half. Looks like her broomstick wasn't the only thing that was getting her high. Am I right? Up top. No? Okay. On top of that, she spilled crazy details about making out with a woman in a limo and then heading to a Maxim photo shoot while still high, then revealing that it was her 3rd or 4th time on ecstasy for this photo shoot. Although all of this bad behavior, she says, is attributed to the bad crowd that she was hanging around with. I think she claimed also that Paris Hilton once offered her cocaine at a party, but obviously she denied.
Number 5. Dax Shepard. The actor, podcast host, and husband of Christian Bale has famously talked about his recovery process. In his podcast, The Armchair Expert, Dax said that he was proud to have been sober from alcohol and for the past 16 years, and that he wanted to be open and honest about his recovery journey in order to help others who might be struggling with active addiction. But talking about it wasn't always easy for him. In fact, earlier this year, he said he initially didn't want to go public with the relapse out of fear of losing his connection with people. The actor also reflected on his rock bottom and how his infamous 2004 interview with Conan O'Brien almost derailed his career entirely. Dax did the pre-interview with Conan while blackout drunk. Quote, "I show up on the show, I don't know what he's talking about, I can tell he's queuing me up for stories I've told, but I don't know any of the stories, so I'm just doing what I can to be funny out there and I am a mess." During the interview, he noticeably slurred his words before falling off the side of his chair and accidentally flipping the coffee table that was in front of him. But he's come a long way since then and now uses his experience to talk openly about addiction and sobriety in a way that is both funny and relatable. Number 4. Jamie Campbell Bower. The 33-year-old British actor began his ascent to fame in Sweeney Todd, the demon barber of Fleet Street in 2007 alongside Johnny Depp. He was then cast in Twilight New Moon as the ancient leader Caius, and starred as a young Gellert Grindelwald in Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 1 the following year. Today, Jamie is best known for playing the villain Vecna in Series 4 of Stranger Things, but has since revealed that he has been suffering from substance addiction in his early years. The actor posted a 2-part tweet telling fans about his problems with substance misuse and his time in hospital receiving mental health treatment. Quote, 12 and a half years ago, I was in active addiction, hurting myself and those around me who I love the most. It got so bad that eventually I ended up in hospital for mental health. But he went on to assure fans that he is now 7.5 years clean and sober. He admitted that he had made many mistakes in his life, but each day is a chance to start again, atone for mistakes and grow. He ended the tweet with an inspiring message by saying that he is so grateful to be sober and that all of us are works in progress. Number 3. Bradley Cooper. In a new episode of the Smartless podcast, hosted by Will Arnett, Jason Bateman, and Sean Hayes, Bradley Cooper opened up about the addiction struggles that haunted his 20s and how a friend jump-started his journey to recovery. The Oscar-nominated actor said that when he moved to LA for his role in Alias, he felt like he was back in high school, which ruined his self-esteem. Quote, "I couldn't get into any clubs, no girls wanted to look at me, I was totally depressed." He was later fired from the series and was dealing with an injury to his Achilles tendon at the same time. During this trying time in his career, he turned to coke and his addiction slowly got worse over time. It was only when Cooper went to a dinner party with Arnett when he was 29 that he realized he had hit rock bottom. Arnett, who was essentially his hero, called him out for his rude behavior during the party, and then the actor had a light bulb moment and realized that he had a problem with illicit substances and alcohol. Then between the ages of 29 to 34, the actor worked really hard at sobriety and had an ongoing journey of self-acceptance thanks to therapy. Number 2. Travis Barker. The Blink-182 drummer was in a horrific plane crash in 2008 that killed everyone on board except for him and one passenger. Although Travis survived, his two closest friends, Chris Baker and Charles Still, lost their lives that day. The only other survivor, his friend Adam Goldstein, died the following year. In the aftermath of all the tragedy, Travis spent 3 months in the hospital and had to have 26 different surgeries performed on him and multiple skin grafts to treat his various injuries from the crash. But what's truly amazing here is prior to the accident, Travis had been suffering from an intense addiction to opioids for several years, as it was only the life-changing crash that altered his mental state enough to ditch the substances. He told Men's Health, quote, "People are always like, did you go to rehab? And I say no, I was in a plane crash. That was my rehab. Lose 3 of your friends and almost die? That was my wake-up call. If I wasn't in a crash, I would probably never quit." Travis said that he used to smoke an excessive amount of a certain leafy green substance and used painkillers as a method of coping with his fear of flying that he developed osteoporosis. In fact, in the hospital for 11 weeks following the crash, Travis frequently regained consciousness during surgeries because his opioid tolerance was so high. And coming in at number 1, Robert Downey Jr. The actor is now one of the most notable and inspiring cases for sobriety. Robert Downey Jr. has had a phenomenal Hollywood comeback story and is now one of the most bankable and highly paid actors in show business, starring in blockbuster comic book films like Iron Man and in the Avengers, but the actor spent most of his early career under the influence, leading to high-profile arrests and a string of rehab visits. His addiction started during childhood and was allegedly encouraged by his father, Robert Downey Sr., who also had a substance use disorder and allowed his son to try a leafy green substance at only 6 years old. According to a 1996 People article, the illicit substances actually facilitated an emotional bond between the two, and so for years, addiction was incredibly difficult for Downey Jr. to break away from. It was only when his wife, Susan Downey, revealed in 2003 that she gave her husband an ultimatum that he decided to quit for good. And apparently, it stuck, because 10 years later, in an interview with Daily Mail, the actor credited a combination of 12-step programs, yoga, meditation, and therapy for keeping him sober.
Number 10. Tom Hiddleston and Taylor Swift. If you've ever dated Taylor Swift, then there's a very good chance she's written a song about you. Swift has been basing her lyrical masterpieces around past relationships for a majority of her career. Splitting up with someone is never easy, but whenever this happens to Taylor, it gives her a chance to pump out another top charting track that is sure to keep us dancing the night away. This was unfortunate for Tom Hiddleston though, best known for his role as Loki in the Marvel Universe, briefly dating the singer in 2016, even briefly being dubbed Hiddle Swift by fans. That's so cute. The couple was together for a grand total of 3 months, but during that time were very public about their activities, almost trying to sell us on the idea that they were just so happy together. The timing of this was just a little too suspicious, as Hiddleston had just begun production on Thor Ragnarok, and Swift was working on her then unreleased album Reputation. The two seemed to be using the relationship's strong media attention to their advantage, with past album sales growing up to the point of Reputation's release for Swift, and buzz surrounding Ragnarok was in full swing till its premiere the following year, eventually becoming one of the highest grossing Marvel movies of all time. Yeah, sus guys. Number 9. Jennifer Lopez and Drake. It all started back in 2013 when Jennifer Lopez made a jaw-dropping entrance at the Grammy Awards. She walked out in a stunning off-the-shoulder black gown dress, and Drake's jaw dropped. The moment became a viral GIF, which certainly caught the attention of J-Lo, because over the next couple of years, Drake was spotted, popping up at a number of Lopez's All I Have concerts in Las Vegas, Nevada. In one instance, Drake posted a photo of himself holding J-Lo's diamond-encrusted hat while she slayed it on stage. Soon after, rumors began flying that the two had secretly been together for quite some time, with some photos suggesting that they were spending a lot of their quality time together. With no warning, Drake posted a photo of himself and Jen cozying up together, seemingly seemingly confirming the relationship, but many people were suspicious of the true nature of their relationship, including pop singer Rihanna, who unfollowed Lopez on social media following their announcement. The relationship eventually fizzled out at an unspecified amount of time later, and the two never spoke about it again. But these two getting together created such a buzz on social media that their followers grew by thousands, which was probably the real reason these two went public in the first place. Number 8. Kristen Stewart and Robert Pattinson. His skin was pale and his cold, and that's how Kristen seems to like him. The late 2000s were dominated by the Twilight series, films centered around Bella, a new girl who just moved from sunny Arizona to rainy Washington State, and Edward, a handsome but mysterious teen who, spoiler alert, he's a freaking vampire. Stewart and Pattinson played the characters over the course of 5 films, and the chemistry was very apparent, so much so that they decided to move that chemistry off the screen. Over the course of the 5 films, the pair would get together and split over and over, claiming the time and time again that they simply just needed a break from each other. Now, we didn't buy this for a second, as their reunions always seemed to take place on set, filming the next movie, or just coinciding with the time of the red carpet events. It was just very clear that it was a Hollywood PR person forcing these two to continue pursuing something that may have once existed, but had most certainly been drained of its blood. Number 7. Steve-O and Nicole Richie. Steve-O, the stuntman, is known for doing some wild things. He's been blown up, shot out of speeding shopping carts, and he's even kicked a shark one time because it was about to bite his foot off. But the wildest thing he's ever done of all? He settled down. In 2006, himself and reality TV star Nicole Richie had been spotted spending a lot of their free time together at restaurants and parties and concerts. At the time, Richie's show The Simple Life, which was a reality show starring herself and Paris Hilton, was in its last season, and Steve-O was riding the wave of success following the recent release of a sequel to a movie whose title could get us demonetized. So it makes sense that Nicole would plot a publicity stunt to draw attention to herself and to attempt to keep a hold of her show. This did not work, as the show remained cancelled and the pair called it quits only a few months after they had gotten together. Steve-O has since moved on and is now engaged to his girlfriend, Lux Wright. Yeah, dude! Number 6. Jennifer Aniston and Vince Vaughn. The Breakup is a 2005 romantic dramedy starring Aniston and Vaughn as a couple who are stuck living together following a nasty split that leaves them fighting for custody of their apartment. This sounds like a cute movie. You know what's even cuter? The pair became a couple in real life. They were regularly seen off set having dinner and snuggling up together, sparking news of another screen couple turned true lovers. Well, in 2006, that news shifted to accuracy of film title astonishes all, as the couple mutually called it quits, agreeing that the relationship had run its course. Convenient timing, considering for months before their film premiere, the couple was creating buzz online, getting people excited to see the real-life couple acting together on the big screen. But despite the attempt, the film received poor reviews and the PR play had seemingly proved useless. Now, while this may have been a stunt, the two recount sharing a wonderful time together, with Aniston even saying that Vaughn was the defibrillator she needed after a rough divorce from Brad Pitt. I don't know why that's a good thing. That sounds very painful.
Halfway through the list at number 5 is Buckethead, another musician that covers his face with a mask, but this one isn't anything fancy like the other ones on our list. The famous guitarist is known for being tall, mysterious, and silent. His real name is Brian Carroll, but got the name Buckethead when he decided to go on stage wearing a white mask and an empty KFC chicken bucket on his head. He painted the bucket and slapped on an orange funeral procession bumper sticker. He tells fans his original story as to why he came up with the mask and says that he was raised by chickens and that they scratched his face off. Clearly he likes to just keep everything a mystery. MTV News once asked him about the mask and he simply replied with, "There is no mask." The internet is full of fake photos that pretend to reveal his face, for money and attention of course, but no one has actually seen him without a mask. Here we are at number 4 with the Blue Man Group. The name makes sense the second you see what they look like. They are literally a group of painted blue men. The group is a performance art company known for its unique stage productions, which mixes music, art, digital effects, and dance. It was first created back in 1988 and was an experiment for for theater, but since then has expanded to several cities and gone on multiple world tours. Originally, the group was created by 3 men, Chris Swink, Matt Goldman, and Phil Stanton. But now, according to Inc., there are about 70 Blue Men on their payroll system. These silent performers all look the exact same, so you can never tell them apart while they are performing, even if you knew who they were. Once they are done their performance, they just wipe off their paint and join society like their regular selves. If you think about it, someone in your own town could be a member of the Blue Man Group, and maybe you just don't even know it. Alright guys, at number 3 is Pussy Riot. The Russian punk rock group is known for its controversial lyrics, but also for their erratic actions. The group is made up of women who often stand up for their rights and protest for the change they wish to see. In August of 2011, it was confirmed that the group had approximately 11 women ranging from the ages 20 to 33. You will always find them wearing rainbow-colored ski masks to hide their identities because they want to avoid fines and even possible jail time. The group, which is known for protesting against Russia's leader Vladimir Putin, stormed the soccer field at the World Cup last year in 2018. This isn't the only protest scandal the group has been involved in either. In 2012, 2 of the group's members found themselves spending 2 years in prison. So although it would just be easier to not do illegal things and just show your faces, they choose to wear these ski masks to avoid getting caught or recognized for their music or bad behavior, and they said that they will continue to hide their faces at all costs. And at number 2 is Marshmello, the music producer and DJ who always walks around with a giant smiling marshmallow mask on. Another interesting choice when it comes to picking your identification mask. The talented artist launched into the music scene and pretty much became an overnight sensation. With his giant marshmallow mask, he gained an incredible amount of fame very quickly. Like others on this list, he created a mystery about his real identity, which just made his audience want to get to know him even more. It has been an ongoing joke in the industry of other artists grabbing the media's attention just to reveal themselves as the real Marshmello. Over the years, there have been multiple fake reveals. Once he was revealed to be Will Ferrell, and another time Shawn Mendes. The DJ, who has a net worth of $21 million, was finally identified as Chris Comstock. Social media detectives and EDM fans have figured out that Chris Comstock is also .com, a music producer registered on the same management roster as Marshmello. Forbes confirmed and reported that they are in fact the same person. Marshmello has since gone on like he always does, wearing his big white mask and pretending that no one knows who he really is, which we might not, maybe we have it all wrong. He hasn't taken the mask off, and when he is asked if he ever will, he tweeted out, "I don't take my helmet off because I don't want or need fame. I'm genuinely trying to create something positive for people to connect with." Oh come on Chris, just take the mask off already. Taking our number 1 spot is Banksy. Banksy is one of the world's most controversial street artists for his unique graffiti that has turned the world upside down. Some of his works have been removed from public spaces and sold for millions at auctions around the globe. But he's also known for being the invisible man of the graffiti world. That is right, he has been in the graffiti scene for over 20 years but somehow remains unknown. There have been many attempts to unmask him, but it seems like everyone's efforts have just failed. There is still no definite confirmation on the artist's real name. People are also wondering why he doesn't want to reveal himself, and people think the most logical reason would be to avoid prosecution. Let's not forget that graffiti is vandalism, so creating street art is a risky business. His work is technically illegal, so he would be punished just like anyone else would. As of right now, the world has their eye on a guy named Robin Gunningham. A picture of him surfaced with graffiti supplies that look similar to his Boy of a Life buoy art. However, the picture is a man out in the open with all of the supplies and smiling for the camera. Let's be honest, he's been hiding for 20 years. I don't think he would just be out in plain sight like that. Artists have replicated his artwork for many years and there is still no confirmation. Robin Gunningham has denied that he is the artist, so until there is evidence, the mystery continues. At number 10 is Shaq's embarrassing trip to Walmart. The NBA Hall of Famer is one of the greatest basketball players of all time and is also hilarious, by the way. Honestly, I feel like his comedy is a little underrated, not gonna lie. Even though he's retired now, he still maintains his funny personality on social media and in live interviews. During one of his interviews in 2018 while he was on The Late Late Show, he shared the story about a time that he went to Walmart and his credit card got declined. The incident happened after he was traded from Miami to Phoenix and he needed furniture for his new apartment because he didn't want to wait for his stuff to arrive from Miami. So he went to Walmart and spent $70,000, but his credit card got declined several times and he actually had to call American Express with everyone watching. $70,000 at Walmart? What are you buying? Moving on to number 9 is Madonna opens up about her sex life. Leave it up to Ellen to add a game to her show that has her celebrity guests opening up about their personal business. She added this classic party game, Never Ever Have I Ever, and has them answer with an answer card that says they have, or if they flip it, it says they have never. Madonna was paired with Justin Bieber to play, and Ellen asked them, never ever have I ever had sex with more than 2 different people in one day. Justin and Ellen both held up the I have never card, but Madonna held up the I have. Unfortunately, we didn't get any more details about who her 2-for-1 hookups were, but we did learn that she is just a little more frisky than we thought. Cruising into our number 8 spot is the time that Diddy confessed the craziest place that he had sex. Ellen DeGeneres is back at it again with a fun game to get some gossip about her guests, and one of them is called Hot Seat. Her guests sit with her in 2 hot seats and they fire off questions that they have to answer, and then they quickly hit the buzzer when they are done. Apparently her show just has no shame in asking people about their sex life, because she asked him, where is the craziest place you've had sex? But he had no shame in answering and revealed the secret that he's actually had sex at Nobu, which is one of the most famous and popular restaurants in LA. So next time you're eating at Nobu, just know that he had sex there. In spot number 7 is Kim Kardashian accidentally revealed the gender of her child. In the world of Hollywood, media outlets would fight to their death to find out a secret like this so that they could be the first to publish it. But Kim didn't give them the chance because she accidentally let it slip during an interview on Ellen. Her and her husband Kanye West revealed that they were going to have their 3rd child through a surrogate, but didn't want to reveal the gender. She screwed up though when she was telling a story about her daughter North wanting to keep all the new baby's toys in her room. She said that the day after the shower, North went up to her and said, Mom, since baby sister's not here, I think I need all of her toys in my room and I'll play with them and make sure they're okay for baby sister. Ellen was quick to point out that she just told us it is a girl because she's having a baby sister. Oops. And number 6 is the time that Denise Richards talked about her lesbian fling. Most people are used to seeing her as Charlie Sheen's former wife and also the mother to his kids. But when she did an interview on the Howard Stern show, she revealed some spicy information about her life outside of Mr. Sheen. She admitted that she had hooked up with a female friend. She wouldn't reveal who it was, but said that she's also a well-known Hollywood star. She talked about it and said, I just met her through friends and work and stuff. I was just curious. We were curious. She was a girly girl and she's beautiful. You would know who she is. Come on, Denise, we need more than that. Tell us who it is. I want to know.
Halfway number 5, Amber Heard. If you watch I.O., then you definitely know about Amber Heard. Amber Heard and Johnny Depp were married in 2015 after meeting on the set of The Rum Diary. But only a year later, the couple had divorced and Amber requested a restraining order against Depp, citing violence and physical abuse. Then an explosive TMZ video came out showing Depp throwing a wine bottle and glass at Heard. She also submitted pictures to the court showing bruises on her face. After all this was exposed, everyone took Amber's side, and Johnny was blacklisted from Hollywood. But the story wasn't over yet, and voice recordings were later leaked showing that Amber was actually abusive to Johnny on many occasions, and Heard had actually been accused of domestic violence many times in her past, while Johnny's ex-girlfriends came to his defense, saying that he had never hurt them. Right now, they're involved in a lengthy court case with Johnny suing Heard for defamation, and a lot more is coming out, including the fact that she in their bed, and I wish I was joking, but I sadly am not. In number 4, Matt Lauer. Matt Lauer was one of the biggest news personalities on NBC for 2 decades, and he rose through the ranks of the organization very quickly, with the network paying him $25 million a year. And near the end, he was so powerful at the company, he could practically do whatever he wanted, and he'd get away with it. But his days on top came to an end in 2017, when Lauer was abruptly fired after tons of sexual allegations were revealed. According to Ronan Farrow, it started with one employee complaining he forced himself on her in a hotel room during the 2014 Olympics. Then shortly after, 3 more women came out. As well, he's accused of treating women like objects and just being an all-around bad guy with a smooth-talking facade. Lauer claimed it was all consensual, but of course he was let go from the company and is now disgraced in the industry. And at number 3, Ellen DeGeneres. Ellen is one of the most beloved people ever, and before her huge scandal, she was one of the most well-known people on television. She was even nicknamed the Queen of Nice. But that all came crashing down in March of 2020, when Kevin T. Porter claimed that her niceness was all an act, and she was, quote, notoriously one of the meanest people alive. Then more people came out with their stories about Ellen, with one server saying she got fired because Ellen complained about her chipped nail polish.
Then when the lockdowns happened, Ellen was one of the only shows that didn't pay her employees during the leave. Then tons of reports came out that Ellen's show had a toxic work environment, and top producers were accused of sexual conduct and racist behavior. She recently just came back on air, and time will tell if she can win back people's hearts. Based on the dislike ratings in her most recent Ellen 2 videos, it's not looking too good. In at number 2, Demi Lovato. Demi was one of Disney's most promising stars in the early 2000s, but there were a lot of up and downs happening behind the scenes of her life that no one really knew about. After Demi punched one of her backup dancers in 2010, Demi checked into rehab to address her quote emotional and personal issues. Some of those issues include bipolar disorder, an eating disorder, and frequent use of drugs. In her documentary, she opened up about her use of drugs further, saying, quote, I was sneaking it on planes, sneaking it on bathrooms, sneaking it through the night. Nobody knew. It was so bad she came close to ODing multiple times. One of those times was in 2018 when she was rushed to a hospital because she'd taken too much. Since then, she's committed to remaining sober and is living a healthy life. And finally, number 1, Wendy Williams. Wendy Williams is known on television as the woman that spills the tea, and she's one of the most entertaining and shady hosts ever. And one of the things people love most about her is how honest she is with her fans, sharing most of the details of her personal life. But in 2017 is when things started happening. They made it clear there was more going on behind the scenes than we all knew. First, she fainted live on air in 2017, then took weeks off to rest, revealing later that she struggled with Graves' disease for years. Then in March of 2019, she made headlines when she revealed that she was sober after many years of being a functioning drug addict. Then only a few weeks later, it was revealed her and her husband were splitting after his mistress gave birth to a child, revealing later in an interview with Andy Cohen that she knew of her husband's infidelities for years, but she stayed because of her son. Alright everyone, that's all for the list today. Let me know what you're thinking down below, and whose double life shocked you the most. Honestly, I can't even pick. So many of these are just so crazy and terrible like you would never even think. Like Tiger and Teresa Giudice, like it's just insane.
At number 10, we have Allison Williams. Many reports started to circulate that actress Allison Williams was welcoming a baby boy, Arlo, back last winter, with her and her boyfriend, Alexander Draymond, being spotted with the baby on vacation with their family at a private resort in the Bahamas. According to a source, the parents seemed to be very happy and very much in love. It's also said Allison was spotted wearing an engagement ring. However, reps of the two actors, as well as Allison and Alexander, have declined to comment. The two initially met when filming the 2020 thriller Horizon Line, but have been together since the end of 2019. Now, both have pretty private lives and keep it pretty private, so it came to no surprise that they would hide the birth of their child till it was born, and they were happy to keep the news just with their small circle of family and friends. At number 9, we have Jamie Chung. Although Jamie has been pretty open in the past about her fertility journey, revealing in 2019 that she made the decision to freeze her eggs, Jamie and Brian Green were able to keep their baby news a secret until announcing the arrival of their twins in October of 2021. The couple chose to hide their decision due to the stigma surrounding surrogacy. Jamie would sit down in an interview and say it's not a very common thing and they weren't ready for the judgment. They really just wanted to protect themselves and announce things when they were ready to do so. Jamie chose to go this route mainly because she didn't want to lose opportunities and she didn't want to be resentful after working so hard to get to where she is today. However, the star is doing great and she's definitely showing all of us that she's an amazing mother. Are you enjoying this video so far? If so, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. At number 8, we have Sophie Turner. In July of 2020, Joe Jonas and Sophie Turner welcomed their first child into the world. The couple was definitely delighted to announce the birth of their baby girl and would have their representatives confirm with people after they were ready to announce the birth of their child. Though some did guess Sophie was pregnant when she started cradling her stomach one day, the couple never addressed the speculation until after the birth of their daughter. 2 months after her birth, Sophie would then share a sweet, never-seen-before photo of her baby bump, and we were definitely all here for it. At number 7, we have Iggy Azalea. After months of staying out of the spotlight, rapper Iggy Azalea surprised fans with a major announcement back in June of 2020 when she wrote on her Instagram story that she had a son. The star went on to say, I kept waiting for the right time to say something, but it feels like the more time passes, the more I realize I'm going to feel anxious to share the news that's giant with the world. Iggy would then also add that she wanted to keep her son's life private, but didn't want him to be a secret. Iggy welcomed her son Onyx house with her ex-boyfriend, Playboy Cardi, and since the two have split and they have gone on to be amazing co-parents to the little one. And number 6, we have Rebel Wilson. Rebel Wilson shared some special news in a sweet Instagram post on Monday. The actor, with an adorable photo, said, "I'm beyond proud to announce the birth of my first child, Royce Lillian. Born this past week via surrogate. I can't describe the love I have for her. She's a beautiful miracle." The star then went on to thank everybody who was involved surrounding the birth of her child, and she would also highlight that this has been in the making for years. But she wanted to thank her gorgeous surrogate who carried and birthed her child with such grace and care. Rebel then went on to say, "Thank you for helping me start my own family. It's an amazing gift, the best gift, and I'm ready to give the little one, Royce, all the love imaginable." Rebel is definitely proud to be part of the mom club now, and well, congratulations Rebel on the birth of your baby girl. You're definitely going to be an amazing mom, and Royce is definitely lucky to have you.
Number 5, Orlando Bloom, Miranda Kerr, and Justin Bieber. Now, this one is really strange. Orlando and Miranda were married from 2010 to 2013 and even share a son together, Flynn, who was born in January of 2011. Things were going really well for the couple when rumors swirled about a hookup between Miranda and Justin Bieber at a 2012 Victoria's Secret after party. And coincidentally, the pair filed for divorce in 2013. While at a restaurant in Ibiza, Bloom and Bieber bumped into each other and the pop star made some crude comments about Miranda from across the restaurant. Bloom stormed over and punched him just before the singer was surrounded by bodyguards and appeared to cower away from the confrontation. Bieber then took to Instagram to post a photo of Bloom wiping his eyes, trying to insinuate that he lost the fight. Everything escalated so quickly and egos were being bruised left and right. Safe to say, this whole thing was one big heated mess. Number 4, Bella Hadid, The Weeknd, and Selena Gomez. Arguably one of the biggest love triangles of the 2010s, Bella Hadid, The Weeknd, and Selena Gomez's saga isn't one we're likely to forget anytime soon. After dating for 18 months, Hadid and The Weeknd split up in November 2016. Just 2 months later, the singer was photographed making out with Selena Gomez, and both Hadid and Gomez unfollowed each other, with the act sparking something of an on-again, off-again Instagram feud between them. About a year later, their relationship came to an end and Gomez was seen kissing her former flame, Justin Bieber, shortly afterwards. Number 3, Dua Lipa, FKA Twigs, and Aaron Piper. Dua Lipa shocked fans as she found herself caught up in a love triangle with Netflix star Aaron Piper and fellow singer FKA Twigs. Dua and Aaron first started dating in 2013, but by 2019, their on-again, off-again romance was over for good. The British singer and the model pulled the plug on their 2-year relationship despite doing everything from crisis talks to taking a break to try to salvage it. In between a period of reconciliation, the singer was captured with Aaron in a nightclub while in Madrid. However, things got a little messy when fellow singer FKA Twigs shared a video to her TikTok page of her making out with Aaron just 1 day later, leaving fans completely puzzled. In a TikTok video to promote her new song Killer, the pair were seen entwined and enraptured with each other. Taking to Twitter, fans expressed their shock at the messy situation. And while neither Dua or Aaron have spoken about the videos, the pair could easily just be friends having a good night out together. Number 2, John Mulaney, Olivia Munn, and Anne-Marie Tendler. In early September, amid questions about the timeline of John Mulaney's romance with Olivia Munn, the comedian's ex-wife Anne-Marie Tendler reportedly knew that he was doing things with other women before he went to rehab, and before they ended their marriage in 2020. It wasn't entirely clear when his relationship with Olivia started, but it appeared that John was going to great lengths to dispute the idea that he cheated. Anne-Marie divorced from comedian Mulaney after 6 years of marriage. In a statement at the time, the artist said, quote, "I am heartbroken that John has decided to end our marriage. I wish him support and success as he continues his recovery." 1 week later, the news broke that Mulaney had started dating actress Olivia Munn, and less than 2 months later, it was confirmed that Munn was pregnant with her and Mulaney's first child. Whether or not there was any overlap between the two women is still very uncertain. And coming in at number 1, get ready for it, Olivia Rodrigo, Sabrina Carpenter, and Joshua Bassett. It seemed like the internet exploded when Olivia released her number 1 single, Driver's License, and fans were quick to connect it to her High School Musical, The Musical co-star Joshua Bassett. The heartbreaking, emotional roller coaster of a song talks about the love triangle between herself, Joshua, and Sabrina Carpenter. As the lyrics implied, she was mourning a breakup that had a huge effect on her, and things got super intense when fans discovered Joshua was dating Sabrina because of the not so subtle reference in her song where Rodrigo mentioned a blonde girl who was much older than than her. It was then that people jumped on the hate train against Sabrina, calling her a homewrecker and just about every insult under the sun. To make matters worse, Sabrina released a song called Skin to defend herself from Rodrigo's claims and tell her side of the story. Unfortunately, that didn't go down well with fans, and it only served to create more drama in the triangle.
At number 10, we have former Bachelor Australia contestant Kira Maguire, who revealed in 2016 that she was brought up in a polygamous cult in Victoria. The affiliation, known as the Seaside Sect, was founded by Kira's father and included his 9 wives. One of those wives was Kira's mother, and Kira's father was also detailed to have 64 children and endlessly devoted followers who were drawn to his quote religious teachings, with claims that he was the reincarnation of the Lord. When Kira spoke about her upbringing in a statement for Women's Day, she explained, quote, "I am not in a position to comment. My mother removed my family from that environment when I was 5 years old, over 25 years ago. I was brought up by my mother and grandmother in Brisbane in a loving, caring, and compassionate household." At number 9, we have Joker's Joaquin Phoenix, who detailed to Playboy in a 2016 interview of him being born into the children of God. The Walk the Line actor says, "When people bring up children of God, there's always something vaguely accusatory about it. It's guilt by association. I think it was really innocent on my parents' part. They really believed, but I don't think most people see it that way. I've always thought that was strange and unfair." TLG first came to light as Teens for Christ and is now known by its latest name of the Family International. This organization started as a method of messaging known as flirty fishing, which was explained to have used intercourse to depict God's love and mercy to gain new believers. In the same Playboy chit-chat, Joaquin also disclosed his parents' gradual realization of the disturbing nature of the group's practices. While Joaquin said he believed his parents' original thoughts of finding a community who shared their own ideals, on the opposite end, cults rarely brand themselves as just that. Instead, they deem themselves as quote like-minded people, but Joaquin detailed that as soon as his parents caught on to something darker happening, they got themselves out right away. At number 8, we have Stranger Things Joyce Byers actress Winona Ryder. Now, unlike a lot of other celebs on today's list, Winona seems to share great sentiment and respect for her former lifestyle. The group, known as the Rainbow Family Commune of Living, is located in California and is described as more of a community rather than a cult. Still, Winona was 7 when her family relocated into the Rainbow organization, and alongside 7 other families, Winona was reportedly living without television, music, and electricity across a 300-acre plot of land. According to the actress, she spent most of her developing years taking up an interest in her now career and reading, following her mother showing her and her siblings movies that were screen projected inside the farm's barn. When Winona recalled her childhood in a Dazed interview, she was incredibly fond and spoke highly of Rainbow. Quote, "It was pretty incredible. We were in 380 acres of redwoods and there was no electricity." At number 7, we have Smallville duo Kristen Cruick and Allison Mack, who were allegedly members of a group known as NXIVM. This quote religious organization brands itself as a self-help group for the rich and famous in accordance with the Albany Times. Apparently, of the two, it was reportedly Kristen who initially joined the gathering and then proceeded to later drag Allison along with her. Multiple sources hint that the actresses were recruiting love slaves for their alleged leader Keith's subgroup called The Vow. Inside the practices of The Vow, it's been rumored that the women were constantly degraded, blackmailed, and mistreated. A former NXIVM publicist made claims that the gathering used girls who were not of legal age to fulfill Keith's needs, and the girls were branded with Keith and Allison's initials, whereas it stated that Allison was the visionary behind branding the young girls. Not to mention Keith's arrest in March 2018 in Mexico for trafficking and forced labor, with video footage depicting Allison ready to follow the police if they chose to leave the property with Keith. As for Kristen, she made a tweet which spoke about her enrollment in the group, detailing that the course helped her overcome her shy nature. She also discussed on the social platform her leave and how she maintained minimal contact with anyone still involved. But at the same time, Kristen flat out denied all claims regarding the accusations of her being in the inner circle, as well as her non-involvement as a slave. There was even another former member who confirmed on Twitter that Kristen's non-inclusion being a part of the cult subgroup, where she was described as a lovely person who would never engage in those kinds of activities, and how she had gotten herself out of the mess before ish got weird. At number 6 we have Breathe Again singer Toni Braxton. Now Toni released a memoir titled Unbreak My Heart, which revealed the R&B singer's involvement with the Pillar of Truth, a Pentecostal apostolic group alongside her family as a young girl. Toni explained how her family soon fell into religious extremism. The behavior in question was known as the women and their nakedness needing to be covered up fully, and almost everything was deemed as evil. This evil included seemingly normal occurrences like going to the movies, for example. In light of her experience, Toni described connecting her faith and her devotion to God with that of judgment, anxiety, and guilt. Apparently, the group also alleged to require its members to speak in tongues. Reportedly, Toni had faked this at a mere 8 years old just to keep up, explaining, "The ties that bound us together became the ties that strangled us." As per the Daily Mail, the Braxton family first became a part of 2 more repressive churches before they settled themselves into the Truth Foundation.
Halfway number 5, Scientology. Scientology is a mysterious religion that happens to have a ton of A-list celebrity followers. It's been said that the founder of Scientology, L. Ron Hubbard, used celebrities because he knew that they would attract followers to this new religion. This is also the reason that the Church of Scientology has a huge luxurious building right on Hollywood Boulevard. In the 1950s, L. Ron Hubbard created the quote, Project Celebrity, a written program that offers rewards to Scientologists who bring in some of the biggest names in Hollywood. Today, some of Hollywood's biggest stars follow Scientology, including Tom Cruise, John Travolta, and Kirstie Alley. Apparently, these stars are rewarded with butler-esque employees to do anything and everything for them. Former high-ranking members spoke out against this, claiming that they saw Tom Cruise use underpaid Scientology workers for years. And at number 4, gender pay gap. Yet another example of Hollywood being harmful to women is the gender pay gap between men and women in movies. And unfortunately, this still exists to this day. This issue came to the forefront in 2013 when the movie American Hustle was released. The movie showcases huge movie stars, but unfortunately was exposed that the female actors received less than their male counterparts. An email hack revealed that Jennifer Lawrence and Amy Adams received 2 points less on the revenue sharing agreement than their male co-stars Bradley Cooper and Christian Bale, despite the fact that both actresses are A-list actors. Around the same time, Meryl Streep, the actor with the most Oscars ever, came forward to say that even she was paid less than her male co-stars. House of Cards actress Robin Wright also said that she needed to be paid as much as Kevin Spacey, or she would go public against Netflix. And at number 3, animal cruelty. When making a movie, it's imperative that nobody is hurt during the production. This includes animals, and it's common to read, quote, no animals were harmed during the making of while watching a movie. But according to many reports out of Hollywood, that's not always true, and animals are often harmed on movie sets. Some of the worst examples include the near-drowning death of a tiger during the filming of Life of Pi, the hitting of a dog on the set of 8 Below, and the dozens of dead fish and squid that washed up on the shore over 4 days during filming of the Disney's Pirates of the Caribbean, The Curse of the Black Pearl. The second season of the HBO series Luck was actually cancelled after 4 horses died during the production. Apparently they were overworked because the production wanted the horse racing to look as real as possible. The people on set also ignored warnings from humane animal monitors on the set, making it clear that they didn't care about the animals. Unfortunately, this loss of life had no repercussion. In at number 2, Hollywood fixers. It's long been rumored that bigwigs in Hollywood will hire fixers to do the dirty work for them. These are basically tough guys that will swoop in and do the dirty work that these powerful people can't get caught doing themselves. This idea was brought up again because of the series Ray Donovan. Back in the days of old Hollywood, where stars would sign their lives away to movie studios, it was common to have these fixers to deal with personal issues. It was rumored that these men would cover up pregnancies of their young stars, along with making accusations against powerful men go away. And these practices still happen today. A fixer named Anthony Pellicano was arrested after it was discovered that he sent threatening notes to celebrities along with a dead fish. Pellicano was allegedly employed by stars such as Michael Jackson, Chris Rock, Kevin Costner, and Steven Spielberg. And finally at number 1, the Illuminati. The Illuminati might be the most elusive group in Hollywood. Nobody is quite sure who they are, but everyone is pretty sure that some of the top celebrities in the world are a part of it. most notably Beyonce, Jay-Z, Tom Hanks, and Lady Gaga. The subject of the Illuminati was brought to light again recently after David Dobrik did a podcast interview where he spoke about his experience with the Illuminati in Hollywood. He told the story to Zayn and Heath on their podcast, where David revealed that a girl that he knew was approached by the Illuminati, and she was told she needed to sacrifice someone to them if she wanted to get famous. Apparently, this girl called her mother, who was okay to be the one sacrificed, but the girl did not end up going through with it. Months later, David and this girl were at a Hollywood party with old Hollywood A-listers, and when the topic of the Illuminati came up, the girl told the group about how she was approached, and one of the A-listers told her not to get involved with them because the Illuminati ruined his best friend's life. Apparently, this A-lister's supposed best friend was Michael Jackson.
At number 10, we have Chris Pratt. Chris Pratt had several odd jobs before he made it as an actor. While Chris spent some of his time living in a van in Hawaii, the star could be found working as a babysitter, a server, lawnmower, and he was also a stripper. Chris would tell BuzzFeed in 2013 that being a stripper allowed him to be free and to make money while he was doing it, and he was never embarrassed about being one. After all, he did get his job at the age of 18 after he auditioned to become one. He also revealed that he even stripped at a grandmother's birthday party for $40 back in the day, and while the star has gone to call himself an average dancer, the grandmother definitely appreciated the gesture. At number 9, we have Channing Tatum. Now, fans of Channing Tatum are aware that the actor was an exotic dancer before he starred in movies like 21 Jump Street and Step Up. Before Channing rose to fame, he used to perform at a strip club in Tampa, Florida. A video sold to US Weekly in 2009 showed Channing dancing for guests who were clearly pleased. In 2011, Channing would sit down in an interview with GQ, and he would explain that he was never ashamed, nor did he regret one thing about being a stripper back in the day. He also states that he doesn't miss anything about stripping. The star would strip in front of 25 girls and said there was nothing glamorous about it whatsoever. However, Magic Mike would definitely prove otherwise. Are you enjoying this video so far? If so, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. At number 8, we have Courtney Love. Courtney Love earned her success as a solo artist as a lead singer and guitarist in the 90s rock band Hole. Aside from being married to Kurt Cobain, Courtney was popular for releasing hits such as Malibu. However, while most know Courtney for her hit singles, many don't know that Courtney used to work at Jumbo's and Seventh Veil as an exotic dancer. The singer used to make around $300 a day, and she would be able to use her earned money to help her fund her band. However, the singer has stated that due to low income, that she did have to be extremely financially savvy before she was able to make it as an artist. At number 7, we have Cardi B. Now, if you search Cardi B on the internet, it will give you endless results about her career and how she started. However, it's clear that this star is definitely living her best life, and we're all here for it. Her hit song, Bodak Yellow, definitely didn't make it a secret that she was actually a stripper before she decided to change her career path to become a musician she is today. At the age of 18, after losing her job, the star decided to become an exotic dancer after the person firing her told her to do so. When she started, she knew she was going to make money and that the career was going to pay more than any other. The star would then quit dancing by the time she was 23 and would then become a global icon in rapping. At number 6 today, we have Azealia Banks. Rapper, singer, actress, and writer Azealia Banks began her career on MySpace back in 2008. Later that year, she would be signed to XL Recordings when she was just 18 years old. However, her breakthrough wouldn't come until 2011, and her single 212 would break the internet and enter several international charts. However, before she started her music career, Azealia actually used to work at the strip club. Azealia even said that she used to work at the strip club and it was her lowest point, but she needed money fast and she felt like she was such a chicken in the strip club. And it wasn't her thing at all, and she was actually only there for 2 weekends and then quit because her song 212 blew up.
Starting off our list at number 10 is Daft Punk, the electronic music duo that everyone has loved to try and identify. While the creators themselves have been identified as Guy Manuel Christo and Thomas Bangalter. The two of them formed Daft Punk in Paris back in 1993, and for years people have typed their names into Google trying to uncover pictures of who they really are. They perform behind big robot heads and wear gloves while performing their music on stage. Even when they are off stage and doing interviews, they remain wearing masks masks or do the interview with their backs to the camera, creating a sense of mystery for their fans. During an interview with the Rolling Stone, they explained, and I quote, "It creates the line between fiction and reality, creating these fictional personas that exist in real life. I don't have many people constantly coming up to me reminding me what I do." Photos of the duo from the 90s have surfaced online, but media outlets are still trying to hunt down and get that recent award-winning photo of them unmasked. At number 9 is Sia. She sings the mega hit Chandelier, but has also written countless songs for big stars like Beyonce, Britney Spears, and Carly Rae Jepsen. Although she's known worldwide for her incredible music, she's also known for her wigs. For years, Sia has worn big blonde wigs that completely cover her face, and not just as a costume piece. She genuinely wanted to hide her identity. She has been open about her reasoning and says it has everything to do with hiding from the media. During an interview, she said, "I don't want to be critiqued about the way I look on the internet. I've been writing pop songs for pop stars now for a couple of years, and I've become friends with them and see what their life is like, and that's not something I want." She was very successful at hiding her image and was able to enjoy things as simple as grocery shopping because people wouldn't even know that it was her walking through the grocery store. In more recent years, however, she has showed up to a few events without a wig, but overall still keeps a very low profile. Coming in at number 8 is Gorillaz. The band doesn't wear masks or disguises like some people on our list. Instead, they turn themselves into animated characters. The band produces a mix of pop, electric, and rap and features digitally animated characters on stage. Seeing the Gorillaz in concert means you are jamming out to a giant screen with their characters on the screen while the real musicians perform behind it. The musical project began back in 1998, and a comic book artist named Jamie Hewlett helped design their characters, Noodle, Russell, Murdoch, and 2D. The idea behind the band was that the lead singer, Damon Albarn, was able to escape from fame and facial recognition. During an interview, he said, "One of the things that really got to us was the nature of celebrity and the cynicism of popular culture. Over the years, they have collaborated with big artists like Danger Mouse and Snoop Dogg, but still like to avoid any extra attention from fans." Sliding into the number 7 spot is Slipknot. The heavy metal band has always been known to hide their identities of their band members by wearing a variety of different masks and costumes. The reason for it is to drive public attention away from themselves and onto their music, so I guess you could say it's like a business tactic? The vocalist of the group commented during an interview saying, "It's our way of becoming more intimate with the music." The idea of covering their face was apparently brought up by one of the group members who would often just bring masks to their rehearsals. They continued to talk about the idea and develop it further, which soon led to them having matching costumes as their stage image. For many years, they managed to keep their faces hidden from the public, but over the years their names were identified, making it easier to track down those images. More recently, a new member of the band was added, and people are going nuts trying to identify who it could be. So if you do, let me know in the comments because I want to know who it is. And at number 6 is Mike Candies. It's a very common thing for famous DJs to wear masks when they perform, so this one isn't all that surprising. Mike Candies is a music producer and DJ who originally came from Switzerland. He gained a lot of popularity with his remixes and was on the European top charts for a long time. But before everyone knew who he was one of the people who used a mask to hide his face. Out of all masks he could think of, he ended up going with a giant yellow smiley face helmet, basically making him look like a walking emoji. The DJ's real name is Michael Call, and he now posts pictures of himself totally unmasked. Mike said he came up with the mask because he didn't just want to create music, but wants to put on an entire show together. He claims that his helmet helps him while performing and is also entertaining for the audience. Apparently the first mask idea he had was going to be a dragon head, but he decided to simplify everything and came up with a smiling emoji.
Number 10. Matthew Perry. During his time playing Chandler Bing on the TV show Friends, fans would have never guessed that Matthew Perry was privately struggling with a Vicodin addiction. It all started with a horrible jet ski accident in 1997 that left the actor with pretty serious injuries, for which he was then prescribed the pain-blocking medication Vicodin. But throughout all this, the star was able to maintain his acting career and managed to keep his dependency under wraps. He told the New York Times in 2002 that he went to work in extreme cases of hangover, and it was so horrible to be like that and still have to be funny on top of that. His friend's co-star Lisa Kudrow noticed everything. Quote, "When Matthew was sick, it was not fun. We were just hopelessly standing on the sidelines. We were hurting a lot." Sometime later, the beloved actor confessed that the series was causing him immense stress, which subsequently made his addiction worse. But throughout all of this, Perry has a positive outlook on life. Quote, "The best thing about me is that if an alcoholic comes to me and says, 'Will you help me stop drinking?' I will say, 'Yes, I know how to do that.'" So it's amazing that he's now able to help others who are in the same situation. Number 9. Machine Gun Kelly. In a candid conversation with Dave Franco for Interview magazine, the 32-year-old singer revealed that he was dealing with a secret dependency on illicit substances while writing and recording music. He said that he believed that this is how you attained a certain level or unlocked something in your brain. Quote, Adderall was a huge thing for me for a long time, and I went from orally taking it to then it, and then it became something where I was scared to ever go into a studio if I didn't have something. Kelly went on to say that he wouldn't even step out unless there was a medicine man who was going to visit him and give him what he needed. Quote, and that's where it becomes a problem. You're telling yourself you can't do this without that, when really it's in you the whole time. If that pill did that for you, then everyone who's taken that would just be making albums and writing songs. And so that limited me. The singer explained that the most challenging part of recovery is separating his music persona, Machine Gun Kelly, from who he really is as Colson Baker, and credits his girlfriend Megan Fox as an essential part of his support system. But Kelly is putting in the work to live a sober life and is currently taking steps to change. In fact, he had his first therapy session last month, so things are looking good for him. Number 8. Demi Lovato. The star has struggled with addiction since 2010, when she first entered rehab at the age of 18. Over the years, Demi returned to rehab to treat an eating disorder, self-harm, and substance addiction. For the Disney Channel star, the success of Camp Rock and various other shows really launched her into the spotlight, but the way she coped with the stress and demands of superstardom was unfortunately turning to illicit substances. She managed to keep this all under wraps throughout her youth until her secret life was eventually exposed. In July of 2018, Demi suffered an overdose, and she spent several days in the hospital before going to treatment later that summer. In August, she told her Instagram followers that she was hospitalized, and she released the following statement on Instagram, quote, what I've learned is that this illness is not something that disappears or fades with time. It's something I must continue to overcome and have not done yet. Since then, her journey through the ups and downs of sobriety has helped many people, and she has since been able to speak openly about her addictions. Number 7. Ben Affleck. The actor has long been vocal about his sobriety throughout his career, starting with his openness about his family history and rehab stays. But it wasn't always this way. In fact, for many years, he was battling his addiction to alcohol in secret. In 2012, he confessed to Barbara Walters that his father was an alcoholic and said that he drank all day, every day, explaining that the legacy of that is quite powerful and hard to shake. After starring in Good Will Hunting, Affleck took a serious look at his binge drinking. Quote, I just wanted to stop. I started regretting some things I did when I was drunk. It's funny to be obnoxious or out of control. I have almost no inhibitions, so it's dangerous for me. But it wasn't until 2001 that the actor actually sought treatment for his alcoholism. He has since been to rehab multiple times and has been in recovery ever since. Things have been going well for the actor recently, but recovery can be an uphill battle, and Affleck suffered another setback in October 2019, 2 months after celebrating 1 year of sobriety, when he was photographed leaving a Halloween party intoxicated. But in January last year, he revealed on the podcast Awards Chatter that he feels very good despite having slips here and there. Number 6. Jamie Lee Curtis. It was 1998 and the iconic Scream Queen was cooking dinner for her and her 2 children in her LA home. And doing what she usually did, Jamie reached into her pants pocket and scooped up 5 Vicodin and swallowed them all at once with a swig of wine. But she didn't realize that a friend who was staying at the house was watching her from a doorway, and she was caught red-handed. Quote, the jig was up. Now I knew someone knew. I had been nursing a secret Vicodin addiction for a very long time, over 10 years. Jamie had been hooked on the substance after routine plastic surgery to remove the puffiness around her eyes. She said that the surgery itself wasn't painful, but they gave her Vicodin to aid recovery, and from there on she was hooked. Not only that, but the addiction ran in her family, and her brother Nicholas sadly passed away from substance use disorder at the age of 21 in 1994. Last year, Jamie opened up to Hello magazine about her struggle. Quote, my recovery is the single greatest accomplishment that I will ever get to do in this human life. I have been clean and sober for 22 years. The actress is now an advocate for policies to reduce opioid misuse.
Halfway number 5. Fake names. The vast majority of Hollywood A-listers do not use their real names, instead they concocted a stage name. This is done for a variety of reasons. Sometimes just because their old name isn't as flashy, but other times the reasons are pretty dark. For some examples of celebrities with fake names, Martin Sheen's real name is Raymond Antonio Gerard Estevez, Jamie Foxx's name is Eric Marlon Bishop, and Marilyn Monroe's real name was Norma Jean Mortensen. Then other times a name change can be used to hide nepotism. Like for instance, Nicolas Cage's real name is Nicholas Coppola, and he's the nephew of Francis Ford Coppola, a famous Hollywood director. This familial connection landed Nick Cage his first role in the movie Peggy Sue Got Married. Other times a name change can be to hide racism. Marvel Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. actor Chloe Bennett, real name Chloe Wang, said, quote, "Hollywood is racist and wouldn't cast me with a last name that made them uncomfortable." In at number 4, stuntmen regularly lose their lives. Stuntmen are a very common thing on movie sets because A-list actors aren't able to do the stunts that we see in a lot of action movies. But fans might not know what a dangerous job that it is, and stuntmen regularly get critically injured or even lose their lives. And for how vital their role is to these movies, they are not paid fairly. The average stunt person pulls in about $250K a year, which sounds great, but is nothing compared to the about $20 million that the movie stars are making. Big name stars are obviously the ones that sell the tickets, but they're not the ones who put their lives on the line. During the filming of Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 1, Daniel Radcliffe's stunt double David Holmes got hit by a staged explosion, and he was so seriously injured by the fragments that he suffered a neck break that left him fully paralyzed. Then on the set of Deadpool 2, a stuntman lost their life during a car crash scene. In at number 3, substance misuse. Following the release of the biopic Judy, we got to see the horrible practices the movie execs would use to get their talent to do what they wanted, specifically using illicit substances to wake the actors up and keep them on set working for very long hours. According to a 1982 New York Times article, use of these substances became so common that movie insurers would put clauses in their contracts to cut losses from these sorts of incidents, because several deaths and injuries on set stem from the use of these substances. In her 2013 memoir, Debbie Reynolds, the female lead for the 1952 musical Singing in the Rain, recalled that when her grueling schedule started to take a toll on her health, a studio executive told her to, quote, take vitamin shots from his doctor. Then Judy Garland revealed her mother would give her, quote, pep pills to ensure she had enough energy to film all day. Because of the toll these substances took on her health, Judy unfortunately passed away at the age of 47 because of an OD from these substances. In at number 2, inappropriate behavior runs rampant. So I'm gonna have to dance around the subject a bit for this one, but the things that have been exposed during the Me Too and Time's Up era are not new and have been happening for decades. Harvey Weinstein wasn't the first and only power player in Hollywood to use his power to get women to do what he wanted. And this all goes back to the idea of the, quote, casting couch, where you are expected to do sexual favors to these executives in exchange for a role. And there are many examples of this behavior taking place in Hollywood. Even worse, this behavior can also happen against One study even found that 94% of women employed in the American film industry have experienced sexual harassment or worse. This is a staggering number that should make everyone push for change. And finally, at number 1, discrimination problem. The problem of diversity in Hollywood is something that's being brought up more and more over the years, and when we look at some of the stats, it's pretty wild. Only one woman has ever won the Oscar for Best Director, and that was Kathryn Bigelow for the 2008 movie The Hurt Locker. Also, only one African American has ever won the Oscar for Best Original Screenplay in the history of the Academy. That was Jordan Peele in 2018 for Get Out. But the problem is not only in the cast and crew of the movies, it's the higher up of the business in general. A 2016 Washington Post investigation reported that 96% of Hollywood's decision makers were white and 87% of them were male. Clearly a large gap between those demographics and what we see in society today. A study of 100 movies released in 2016 also showed that about 70% of speaking roles in that year's top 100 films were white, leaving 30% to account for Black, Asian, and Hispanic people. Another shocking stat was that just 31% of speaking characters were female.
We are now at our 5th and halfway mark with Jodie Foster. Now, this one is very, very creepy. Mainly because when it happened, Jodie was only 14. So if you didn't know, Jodie got her breakout role in the 1976 film Taxi Driver with Robert De Niro. Great film. In the film, she plays a young escort. And a man named John Hinckley Jr. became obsessed with her. He apparently would watch the film on a continuous loop. For years, he was stalking her. He would send her letters and poems to her professing his love for her. In fact, he thought he would impress her by assassinating Ronald Reagan. He actually tried doing so, but he failed. And in the end, he said that if he had known that he never had a chance with Jodie, He wouldn't have tried to assassinate the president in the first place. Moving on to number 4, we have Gigi Hadid. In 2015, a man named Marcel Porter tried to break into Gigi's New York apartment. Not just one time though. He tried to do this 5 times. Not only that, but he would leave creepy messages for her on her Facebook page. He said things like, "I love you, I know everything now, wait for me, soulmate." And "Gigi, I'm at the hotel in Queens trying to find the gym that you went to while working." He also would comment on her outfit she wore so that you knew he was spying on her that day. Like in one post, he said, "Love you with the purple pants and shades, my soulmate. Tell your friends I say hi, especially Taylor." Creepy. In 2017, he was sentenced to 3 years in prison. Coming in at number 3, we have Kylie Jenner. Pretty sure all the Kardashian sisters have had a scary stalker situation in their life. In 2016, Kylie Jenner had a terrifying stalker situation. A man named Marvin McGollins repeatedly tried to break into Kylie's house. He even rammed his car into her front gate to try and knock it down. He did this on 2 separate occasions. Then later, he turned himself in for the unsolved murder of a man, and police later connected him to the unsolved murder of another man. He was arrested for both crimes. Kylie's lucky that it didn't end badly for her. She was literally being stalked by a cold-blooded killer. I should also note that the men he killed were both homeless and that he was unprovoked, so he just did it just cuz. In our second spot today, we have Ashley Tisdale. In 2013, Ashley Tisdale was being stalked by a man named Nicholas Floor. Floor was obsessed with her and had threatened to shoot her and her then boyfriend. When exploring his Twitter, there were thousands of creepy tweets directed towards Ashley. Let's take a look at them. He said, and I quote, "You'll be able to look in my eyes and know exactly what I want to say without even saying it." Another tweet read, "My body is yours, and even as friends, I effing love how I make you feel like mom. Maybe we both got issues because nobody's perfect." And another read, "Your future, Miss Floor, and I'll be your sweet stuff, little mama. You're such a good girl, you only pretend to be bad for me." So not only was he creepy online, but he was also creepy in person too. One time, he disguised himself as a delivery man to try and gain access to her home. He was later sentenced to a year in jail and a year of outpatient counseling. And in our number 1 spot today, we have Keira Knightley. Now this has to be one of the strangest stalker encounters out there. In 2016, Keira Knightley was faced with a stalker who would frequently visit her London home. When there, he would write notes in chalk on her door. He even once left a USB at her house with cat-themed music on it. After Keira reported it to the police, things got even weirder. One night, she woke up to him standing outside of her door, meowing into the letterbox. It ended with her husband chasing him until he left the property. The stalker, Mark Revel, was arrested and sent to a psychiatric hospital in 2017.
So starting off at number 10, we have Tiger Woods. So back in 2009, Tiger Woods was at the top of his game, and he held the title of best golfer in the world. He also had a beautiful family with 2 kids and a loving wife. But it all changed when the National Enquirer accused him of having an affair with a nightclub manager. This then led Tiger to crash his Escalade into a neighbor's tree at 2 a.m. and he was charged for reckless driving. This then led to rumors that Tiger's wife, Elin Nordegren, knew of the affair and was physically attacking him for it and smashing his car. After all this came out, it got worse for the family when countless women came forward with their stories of sleeping with Woods, making it clear that Tiger was cheating throughout their picture-perfect marriage. A few months later, in February 2010, Woods came on television and made a statement about all of it, admitting he was unfaithful to his wife and he was going to be treated for a sex addiction. But because of all this, his golfing took a huge hit, and some of his biggest sponsors pulled the plug on him. And at number 9, Caitlyn Jenner. Caitlyn Jenner was known for many things over the last 2 decades, with her being a successful Olympic athlete and then the lovable and relatable dad of the Kardashian family on Keeping Up. But during all those years, Caitlyn was holding in a huge secret, and that was the fact that she identified as a woman practically her whole life. The situation started when Kris Jenner divorced Caitlyn in 2014, with the tabloids rumoring that Caitlyn was transitioning. But after months of speculation, Caitlyn set the record straight in July of 2015, and in an interview with Diane Sawyer, confirming that she was a woman. There was also a special on Keeping Up, where Caitlyn told her family of her new identity, and we got to see the family react to the news. And after all these years, it's great to see that Caitlyn now can live as her true self, but unfortunately some of the things she has said about her transition has caused her former Jenner family members to distance themselves. And at number 8, Justin Bieber. Justin Bieber rose to fame as a teen idol and a bubblegum pop sensation. But this wholesome reputation didn't last as Justin got older, and he was caught starting fights, egging houses, and getting arrested for a DUI. Because of all the negative things about him in the press, he was banned from several countries and would leave his concerts early if people were annoying him. This caused some of his fans to turn on him, with him getting a water bottle thrown at his head during one performance. But after a few years with a bad reputation, he decided to turn it around in 2017, and he canceled a tour in order to spend more time attending church and making himself a better person. And now he's very outspoken about his dedication to God and makes it a center point of his life. And now that he's married, he seems to be on a better path. And at number 7, Coco Chanel. Coco Chanel is best known for creating one of the most recognizable luxury brand names ever. She was born in France in 1883. By the time she was 27, she owned a successful clothing store, and only 10 years later, she would release the little black dress and change the face of fashion forever. But while her brand was growing in the 1930s, France was taken over by Hitler's army, and many Parisians resisted the German invasion. But to the surprise of many, Coco was not one of those people, and she seemed to welcome the rules that the Germans were enforcing at the time. She even dated an SS soldier at one point, and although many say it meant nothing, there have been many rumors over the years that Coco was anti-Semitic. With one book called Sleeping with the Enemy, Coco Chanel's Secret War, the author alleges that Coco was actually a secret intelligence operative for the Germans. After the war, she fled to Switzerland, but she managed to come back to France later because she got funding from the wealthy Wertheimer family, who still control most of the company and do their best to avoid questions about Coco's relation to the Germans. And at number 6, Teresa Giudice. Teresa is best known for her messy antics on The Real Housewives of New Jersey, and it seemed that ever since she was featured on the show, she was doing everything possible to prove her and her husband were uber rich. But the cracks started to reveal themselves pretty fast. It started when the couple filed for bankruptcy. Then a few years later, Teresa and her husband Joe were sentenced to jail after pleading guilty to fraud charges in 2014. After pleading, Teresa ended up serving 11 months of the 15-month sentence and came out of jail $11 million in debt. But her husband had an even worse fate and was released to ICE, who later deported him back to Italy. And even worse, the couple ended up separating in 2019. And this is a classic case of what's called a duck, and that's someone who looks fine above water, but underneath their legs are kicking like crazy, and they're doing whatever they can to stay afloat and maintain that rich image.
We are halfway through and we have Justin Timberlake admitted to a hookup. He was another victim of Ellen's game of Never Ever Have I Ever, and he played with the infamous boy band NSYNC. They were all asked, never ever have I ever slept with a Spice Girl. Justin was the only person to turn the card so that it said I have. The audience began cheering, and of course they wanted to know which Spice Girl it was, but he refused to tell. We'll leave it up to fans to come to the conclusion though that it was Baby Spice. They started posting a video clip of an interview she did back in 2004 when she was asked if she had a one-nighter with Justin, because those were the rumors going on at the time. She responded with, "We hung out and partied a bit and he's very sweet. He spoke about this first because otherwise I would have not said a word. He's very sweet." So she didn't really confirm nor deny. At number 4 we have J-Lo snuck a man into her house. Now you're probably wondering why she would have to sneak a man into her house, like she is an adult and she's also J-Lo, so she can basically do whatever she wants and invite people into her house at any time. But there is one thing she has to consider, and that is her kids, which is ultimately her biggest priority. During an interview one time, she was asked about her love life and if she has ever had to sneak a man into her house, and she revealed that she totally has. Fans were hoping she might spill the tea and tell us who it was, but she kept that little detail to herself and admitted that she has totally snuck a man in at night while her kids were sleeping. Alright guys, we have made it to number 3 and it's a bit more serious. Melissa Joan Hart revealed on a talk show that she did drugs during her time as Sabrina the Teenage Witch. For a long time, she was the ultimate girl next door. Audiences fell in love with her instantly and she quickly became a teen star. But back in 2013, she got candid during an interview and dished details about her wild side. She said she had drug-fueled Hollywood nights and revealed shocking affairs with some of her co-stars at the time. She said, "I experimented with weed, ecstasy, and mushrooms for about a year and a half. One of her most shocking stories was from 1999 where she said she took ecstasy one night at the Playboy Mansion, made out with a girl on the limo ride home, and then showed up to her Maxim photo shoot still high from the night before." Honestly, I would have never suspected this from Sabrina the Teenage Witch. Kinda ruining my childhood a little bit, kinda weird to think about, but hey.
I don't judge. Taking over the number 2 spot is Leslie Jones, used to work for Scientology. The SNL star was on the Ellen DeGeneres show when she was asked what job she worked before she was famous. Surely, she could have said any of her other jobs, like McDonald's or Walmart or something. I'm sure we all had a part-time job. But instead, she was honest and admitted that she used to be a telemarketer for Scientology. She said, "I lived in Glendale. I needed to pay the rent and it was a very easy interview. I just acted crazy. They kinda still don't know I'm not a Scientologist." She cracked a joke to the camera and apologized to other Scientologists out there for revealing things. But she seemed to have no problem revealing the secret, despite all the controversy around the religion. In our number 1 spot is Holly Madison revealing dark secrets about Hugh Hefner. Many people would love to know all the juicy details of what really went on in the Playboy Mansion when Hugh Hefner was still with us. But thanks to his former girlfriend Holly Madison, we do. After being his number 1 girlfriend in the house and dating him for 6 years, she decided to write a tell-all book called Down the Rabbit Hole back in 2015. The book exposed their age difference in the relationship and just everything that came along with it. She then went on to do some talk shows where she talked about personal experiences in their sex life, saying they used to engage in group sex in his bedroom, and also admitted to the wild parties that they had at the house, claiming that some of the girls would actually be drugged at the party and then taken advantage of. Some of her claims were pretty serious, and her former playmate said that she was lying and actually did not defend her statements. So basically, it's if you believe her or not.
Number 10. Scott Disick, Kourtney Kardashian, and Sophia Richie. Scott and Kourtney's decade-long romance was very well documented on Keeping Up with the Kardashians, and although fans loved Scott's quick-witted, snarky humor, it was obvious that he had some trouble remaining committed to Kourtney. The couple were on and off again for years and had 3 kids together, Mason, Penelope, and Rain. But around 2015 it was done for good, and Scott moved on with a much younger Sophia. But the whole family was against them, including Kendall, who commented some shady stuff about them on an IG post, and even Sophia's dad, Lionel Richie. Despite this drama, they stayed together for nearly 3 years, and she was even on the show at one point. It was an awkward mess because Scott was still co-parenting with Kourtney, all while dating Sophia, who was only 18 at the time and had been a family friend for years. Fans thought the whole thing came off as kinda creepy. Number 9. Ed Sheeran, Ellie Goulding, and Niall Horan. This love triangle is a total whirlwind and was extremely chaotic at the time. Ellie and Ed went from casually dating to almost being a certified couple in 2013. But upon meeting Niall, Ellie was allegedly so taken with the One Direction singer that she ended up cheating on Ed. They managed to keep everything quiet until Ed released his 2014 single, Don't, which accused Ellie of that exact thing. Fans were very quick to put the pieces together, especially because the lyrics take a deep dive into the whole story, even describing the moment where Ellie admitted to sleeping with Niall and started begging Ed for forgiveness, and how he never saw it coming because he didn't perceive Niall as a threat. Later in interviews, Ed said the song was about a time when someone he was seeing hooked up with one of his friends when they were all staying in the same hotel. Although no names were mentioned, fans were easily able to put the pieces together and realize just how crazy this story was. Number 8. Pete Davidson, Ariana Grande, and Cassie David. Pete and Cassie dated for 2 years from 2016 to 2018. The SNL star and actress, who just happened to be Larry David's daughter, seemed like a great match and a cute couple until Pete got engaged to Ariana exactly a month after his breakup with Cassie. Now, the timing is a bit suspicious, with the quick engagement taking everyone by surprise, including Cassie herself. To make matters worse, the romance between Pete and Ariana was very public and became the most talked about celebrity couple of the summer 2018, melting hearts worldwide with their adorable social media love fest. Pete and Ariana split after a while, with Ariana releasing Thank You Next in 2019 to document the breakup and her commitment to herself. While no words regarding the timeline were exchanged in any public forum, it was assumed that things got a little messy behind the scenes of this love triangle. Number 7. Taylor Swift, Calvin Harris, and Tom Hiddleston. Taylor and Calvin were the golden Pinterest couple in 2015 and seemed to be the perfect pairing as soon as they got together. But all that fell apart just after they celebrated their 1-year anniversary, when Taylor was seen dancing with Tom at the 2016 Met Gala. Soon after, photos were posted of Taylor and Tom kissing in Rhode Island, which shocked the Swiftie fandom. They traveled to Rome and partied together at Taylor's 4th of July party. But things got really messy when Calvin released a song that implied Taylor cheated on him, and then Taylor called him out for not giving her credit on a song that they co-wrote together called This Is What You Came For. Things got got even more dramatic when Taylor's 2017 album Reputation came out and featured a song called Getaway Car, which basically says that Tom was her escape route from Calvin. Yikes. Number 6. Jennifer Aniston, Brad Pitt, and Angelina Jolie. Jen and Brad got married in 2000 in a lavish Malibu wedding, and things were perfect for the Hollywood it couple until they decided to announce their divorce in 2005. In walks Angelina, who met Brad for the first time on the set of Mr. and Mrs. Smith. The movie was filled with romantic tension, and it's easy to see how Brad fell in love with Angelina, but the problem was that he was still married to Jen. They allegedly still got together despite his marriage because, hey, don't let your wife stop you from finding the love of your life, or so the saying goes. But interestingly enough, Brad and Angelina's relationship wasn't just a fling, and they actually went on to date for many years and had a large family before finally getting married in 2014. The love triangle was one of the biggest scandals in the early 2000s and still dominates the tabloids to this day. Number 5. Mike Tyson. The heavyweight champion made more than $700 million from his boxing fights alone and was one of the highest paid athletes of all time. At his peak, his net worth was estimated to be more than $340 million. So what happened? Well, the New York Times described Tyson's bankruptcy as a lesson in ways to squander a fortune. So you can pretty much guess. The boxer spent his wealth on cars, jewelry, mansions, and also paid for some unusual services. In fact, in 1996, he paid a camp aide named Crocodile $300,000 to dress in fatigues and repeatedly shout guerrilla warfare at his news conferences. Tyson also paid $2 million for a golden bathtub and 3 Bengal tigers, which reportedly cost him $71,000 per tiger, and a further $70,000 on their maintenance and diet. He even had to hire an animal trainer that cost him $125,000. As a result, Tyson fell deeply into debt despite his immense earnings and was forced to file Chapter 11 bankruptcy in 2003, reporting that he was a whopping $38.4 million in debt before returning to jail and checking into rehab. His net worth is now a fraction of what it used to be at around $10 million, but he's managed to reach financial stability again and seems to be doing well for himself. Number 4. Toni Braxton. The R&B singer has been making hits since the 90s and is mostly known for love songs and songs about heartache, but Toni Braxton is also very well known for her immense financial troubles over the years. After selling 15 million copies of her second album in 1996, fans were confused when she filed for bankruptcy, claiming that she had an astounding $50 million in debt. Everyone was confused because at the time of the filing, she had sold out world tours and millions of albums. Well, it turns out that she was suing her record label to terminate her recording contract because she was only receiving 33 cents per album, making it impossible for her to make money from album sales. Her career continued to soar after her messy legal battle, and she eventually became the headlining act of the Flamingo Hotel's casino, which seemed to be going great until it wasn't. The singer collapsed on stage during a show in 2007 and was hospitalized immediately after. She told ABC News in 2012, quote, "The Vegas show, I just renewed my contracts with all my vendors, and then a month later I got sick. I couldn't work and could not afford to pay them back." She was forced to file for bankruptcy a second time, but has since been able to turn her situation around by starring in her own reality TV show, Braxton Family Values. Number 3. Sydney Sweeney. At 24 years old, the Euphoria actress scored her first 2 Emmy nominations for roles in not one but 2 acclaimed HBO series. She has also started her own production company, 50/50 Films, and in the past year worked as an ambassador for many high fashion brands. But Sweeney recently revealed in a Hollywood Reporter interview that she still feels the financial pressure of paying her monthly bills, admitting that she was worried if she took a break from work, there would be no money and no support for any potential children that she would have. Quote, "If I wanted to take a 6-month break, I don't have income to cover that. I don't have someone supporting me. I don't have anyone I can turn to pay my bills or call for help." Although she's doing incredibly well for her age and her net worth is reportedly around $5 million, she claimed that actors don't get paid like they used to, and explained why she's experiencing financial strain. Among other reasons, Sweeney says that streaming sites don't provide residuals and claimed that paying her publicist every month costs more than her mortgage. She admitted that if I just acted, I wouldn't be able to afford my life in LA. And she also said that she takes several deals because she has to, so it seems that even working actors can wind up broke. Number 2. Amber Heard. The actress is known for her roles in several films, including the DC Comics Aquaman movie, but these days her name is synonymous with her now ex-husband Johnny Depp. Despite appearing in DC's Aquaman and making around $1 million, which is her highest paid role to date, Heard's total net worth is estimated to be minus $6 million. Why? Well, it's safe to say that she faced financial trouble after the highly publicized defamation trial brought against her by her ex-husband. But her situation has been looking much worse post-verdict. The actress was ordered to pay Depp $10 million in compensation and $5 million in punitive damages after a jury said that she defamed him. The judge later capped the damages at the Virginia maximum of $350,000, minus the $2 million that Depp was ordered to pay Heard, which means she owes him a total of $8.35 million. But the issue is that she has a reported net worth of only $3.5 million, making her officially broke. And if you thought things couldn't get any more downhill, she's unable to file for bankruptcy to wipe away the charges. This might have otherwise been an option for her, but the award is not dischargeable because punitive damages are never deductible or dischargeable. So there's no doubting the fact that she is broke. Number 1. Aaron Carter. You'd think earning millions of dollars before you turn 18 would set you up for an early retirement, but that never seems to be the case with child stars. Aaron Carter became a star in his own right very early on, reportedly amassing an estimated net worth of millions of dollars. He told Oprah, quote, "I made over $200 million in my career before I even turned 18 years old." As a result of his fame and fortune, his family lived very well on a massive compound with 12 houses on it, which Carter claims was worth over $10 million. But as a teen, he started getting into trouble with the law, which totally ruined his wholesome reputation and eventually affected his ability to make records. Quote, "Labels were like, 'We don't want to touch you. You're dead and gone. There's no more Aaron Carter.'" The star said he tried to rebuild his image when he realized the consequences of his actions, but it was too late. By the time he was 18, Aaron was already broke and had to declare bankruptcy in 2013 with $2 million of debt. At the time, he was left with only $917 in his checking account. He's managed to get back on track somewhat since then, and the now 34-year-old has a net worth of $400,000, but he would need a real career comeback to even attempt to regain his wealth.
And then number 10, Mafia Connections. Back when Hollywood first started, it was rumored that mobster Mickey Cohen ran the Hollywood underworld. Back in 1950, it was apparently a known thing that Cohen ran many organized crime units in LA. And over the years, it's been revealed that a lot of big old Hollywood stars had connections to the mafia. Even singer Wayne Newton had a connection to the mafia, and it almost ended up costing his life. Newton was apparently friendly with Guido Penosi, who was a member of the Gambino crime family, but Newton claimed he had no idea that he had mob ties. Then in 1980, there was a lot of scandal around Newton and the Aladdin Hotel that was co-owned with mafia members. Rumors swirled that Newton was talking to police behind their backs. Then Newton was put on a witness list to testify against the family, which got him a legitimate threat against his life from the mafia. Thank God he was able to survive the ordeal. And at number 9, ageism. Getting older is a fact of life, but in Hollywood they want to avoid it at all costs. And specifically for women, getting older means the end of your career. It's so bad that actors even try to hide their ages, so they can play younger roles. Actress Junie Hoang sued the website Internet Movie Database for revealing her true age to fans. Actress Jessica Lange has defied this ageism and has success in her 60s, but she admits it was more difficult as she got older. She said in one interview, quote, "Ageism is pervasive in this industry. It's not a level playing field. You don't often see women in their 60s playing romantic leads, yet you will see men in their 60s playing romantic leads with co-stars who are decades younger." And at number 8, fake fans. In the age of social media, followers are everything, and having tons of followers can mean the difference between getting the part or not. But sadly, a lot of these followers are not real, and it's been exposed that millions of social media followers are fake and are purchased to make it seem like the star is more popular. Some of the world's most popular celebrities are a part of this. Some of the worst offenders are Ariana Grande with 46% fake, Taylor Swift with also 46% fake, and Miley Cyrus with 45% fake. It's worth noting that the celebrity is not always responsible for the fake followers, but they usually are. And at number 7, all press is good press. We've all heard the famous saying, and it seems that celebrities don't care if they're getting good or bad press, they just want to be talked about. People might not know it's actually a PR strategy to get bad press. Sometimes the negativity helps to sell something, or it can take attention off something else. One example of this was back in 2014 when it was revealed that Kim and Kanye were going to be on the cover of Vogue. At the time, Kim was not a fashion icon, and people were outraged. Some readers even threatened to cancel their Vogue subscriptions, calling Kimye disgraceful and inappropriate for the iconic publication. Anna Wintour ended up going forward with the cover, and it was one of the most talked about issues of all time. We're not sure if it was all for press, but the negativity definitely helped to sell magazines. And at number 6, body issues. Looking perfect is something that all celebrities struggle with, but having the perfect figure is sadly something that the industry forces you to have to be successful. Many celebrities have come forward to share their stories of disordered eating, which was caused by Hollywood bigwigs saying that they weighed too much. Even agents and managers have told a star that they need to lose weight in order to be cast. Former child actor Raven-Symoné admitted on The View that she was told at age 7 while starring on The Cosby Show that she couldn't eat certain things because she was getting too big. This experience caused her to have a lifelong struggle with food. Demi Lovato has also been open about their eating issues. Demi remembered that when they were only 3 years old, they hoped that their stomach was flat. People are now fighting back against these standards and advocating for more body positivity in Hollywood, but it's a long road ahead.
We are now at our 5th and halfway mark with Sean Penn. A number of women have come forward saying that Sean Penn has been aggressive towards them. In fact, he has mistreated a number of his partners, including Madonna. They were married from 1985 to 1989. While in December of 1988, Penn allegedly tied Madonna to a chair and held her hostage for 9 hours and apparently hit her multiple times. When he untied her to let her use the bathroom, she fled to the police station. One officer said, and I quote, "Madonna staggered into the station. She was distraught, crying with makeup smeared all over her face. I hardly recognized her. She had obviously been struck." Sean was charged with inflicting corporal injury and traumatic conditions on Madonna, as well as battery. But Madonna withdrew her complaint a week later and has rarely commented on it since, which is quite odd. Why would she say that he harmed her and then retract the statement? So who knows what really happened. Moving on to number 4, we have Leighton Meester. Now, I personally did not know this, but Blair Waldorf, aka Leighton Meester, wasn't always the queen bee of Manhattan. In fact, she was born in prison. Basically, her mom was serving a sentence after smuggling a lot of marijuana out of Jamaica with the help of Leighton's dad and Aunt Judy. All of them ended up behind bars. In fact, her aunt managed to escape prison and became America's first woman on the US Marshals 15 Most Wanted list. How insane is that? In the end, Leighton's grandmother raised her while her mom served 16 months in prison. Thank gosh she didn't follow in her family's footsteps. In our 3rd spot, we have Christopher Walken. Christopher Walken was involved in a death that is just shrouded in mystery. On November 29th, 1981, 43-year-old actress Natalie Wood was found dead floating face down in the Pacific Ocean. She was on a yacht with her husband Robert Wagner and Christopher Walken when this happened. The thing is, no one really knows what happened to her. Some say she slipped off the deck and fell into the water, while others are convinced that her husband or Christopher Walken had something to do with it, or that they know what happened. One theory is that Natalie and Christopher were having an affair, Wagner found out about it, got mad, and pushed her off the yacht. Now, Wagner seems to be the prime suspect, but many people think that Walken knows exactly what happened. I mean, he barely even talks about the case, and on the rare occasion that he did, he would call it an accident, and also he was absent from the documentary about her. All I'm gonna say is someone knows something. I'm getting the vibe that Walken knows what happened and maybe he just feels guilty about it. In our 2nd spot, we have Charlize Theron. Charlize Theron actually had a very traumatic upbringing. Her dad struggled with alcohol addiction and would constantly threaten Charlize and her mom, Gerda. He would never physically hurt her, but he would hurt Gerda. One night in June of 1991, he got angry and fired shots at both of them. During that altercation, Gerda ran and grabbed her own handgun that she had kept hidden and shot him back. Her shots killed him while Charlize watched it all unravel. In the end, it was declared self-defense and Gerda never faced any charges. But think how traumatizing that must have been for her to see her mother shoot and kill her dad as a teenager. And in our number 1 spot today, we have Ashton Kutcher. Now, I never knew this, and I was incredibly shocked when I found out about it. But on February 21st of 2001, Ashton Kutcher went over to his then girlfriend's house, Ashley Elrin. The two had planned on going to a post-Grammy party, but when he knocked on the door, there was no answer. That's because Ashley was dead on the floor of her home. She had been stabbed 47 times by a man named the Hollywood Ripper. He was responsible for the death of up to 10 women. As a result, Ashton Kutcher lost his girlfriend very suddenly and in a very traumatic way. He was also scared that he was going to be a suspect in the murder investigation since his fingerprints were on her door, but he never was, but he did have to testify in court.
Number 5. Secret third child. Not everyone knows that Will actually has a third child from his first marriage to Cherie Zampino. Trey Smith, who is now 29 years old, mostly lived with his mother following his parents' divorce in 1995, and so that's why he's still relatively unknown. But Trey has actually struggled quite a bit compared to his half-siblings. In a 2018 Instagram post, Trey said that he felt betrayed and abandoned for a long time after his parents' divorce, and even Will admitted that he and his eldest child struggled for years to develop a good father-son relationship because he basically made a whole new family and moved on without Trey. The truth is, his father's total absence from his day-to-day life was quite hard on him growing up, and Will has also said that he regrets how neglected Trey felt. In fact, they have only recently been back on good terms, and the actor said that he and his firstborn son have slowly started growing and healing, overcoming their past trauma, even posting on Instagram in 2018, quote, "It is a wild blessing to recover and restore a loving relationship with my beautiful son." Number 4. How they met. The couple often paint their love story as one for the ages, but they definitely tried to gloss over the fact that their relationship began when Will was technically married to his first wife, Cherie. In fact, Jada let this information slip voluntarily in a 2018 interview with Access, admitting that when Will first reached out to her, he wasn't exactly fully free to do so. Quote, "He was just separated," and then went on to say that the divorce had not even happened yet. The couple has maintained that they weren't physically involved until the divorce was finalized, but many fans believe Will's heart had certainly strayed well before he made any move to end things with Cherie. During a sit-down interview on Red Table Talk, Will actually said that at a certain point in his first marriage, quote, "I had a realization that I wasn't with the person I was supposed to be with," but maintained that he didn't want to get divorced. He kind of admitted that instead of being honest with his wife right away, he just lost feelings for her and kept it private. But in the end, his ex-wife was the bigger person and ended up asking for the divorce, which allowed him to publicly date Jada right after the papers were signed. Number 3. Nepotism. The Smith family are undeniably a very tight-knit unit, collaborating on so many projects together throughout their careers. Some critics have accused the patriarch of nepotism, and they may have a point. It's pretty easy to see why. Just glancing through Jaden Smith's IMDb page, you can actually see that most of the movies he starred in were produced by one of his parents. The accusations were so intense that in Will's memoir, he opened up about casting The Pursuit of Happiness, saying that the studio actually didn't want to cast Jaden because it would seem like nepotism, and that would just ruin the credibility of the film from the get-go. But even though the studio was hesitant, the concerns didn't keep the Smiths from pushing for Jaden to get the part, and eventually they had their way. Don't get me wrong, the movie was great, but fans could not ignore the clear favoritism that was happening behind the scenes. Many people even called out his acting abilities in After Earth, which completely bombed at the box office, and Will even called it the most painful failure of his career. Number 2. Open marriages. Will and Jada have been shutting down rumors for literally decades, from claims that they're in an open relationship and speculation that they're swingers, to reports that Jada even cheated on Will with Mark Anthony. During an interview with GQ in 2021, Smith finally revealed that he and his wife haven't always been monogamous. Quote, "Jada never believed in conventional marriage," and went on to say that Jada had family members that had an unconventional relationship. So she grew up in a way that was very different to how he grew up. He hinted that both parties had taken advantage of the trust and freedom in their relationship in their own way. Will admitted that for a large part of their relationship, monogamy was what they chose, but it's clear that somewhere down the line they decided to stray from that traditional dynamic. In fact, Will was rumored to be hooking up with Margot Robbie on the set of their film Focus in 2013, after photos were leaked of the pair joking around and getting very close in front of the camera in a photo booth. But Margot was quick to deny everything on Twitter. Quote, "There's absolutely no truth to the ridiculous matter. It's disappointing that goofing around on set could be taken so out of context. Well, people really do jump to conclusions. And coming in at number 1, ties to Scientology. While the couple have never confirmed their religious affiliation, the Smith family has long been rumored to be members of the controversial Church of Scientology. Smith told Men's Vogue in May 2011, quote, "I've studied Buddhism and Hinduism and I've studied Scientology with Tom Cruise, and nobody's saying anything different." His comments obviously earned a great deal of backlash, especially when he claimed 98% of the principles are identical to the principles in the Bible. But then in October 2018, he declared that his family have never been Scientologists. To confuse matters even more, many of the Smiths' movies reportedly contain Scientology references and themes. In 2013, Vulture even called his sci-fi flick, After Earth, that he did with Jaden a love letter to Scientology. Not to mention the fact that in 2007, Will and Jada donated over $122,000 to the church. The truth is, we may never know whether the family are members of the religious movement or not, but the fact that the famous family hasn't condemned Scientology is already a major problem for some fans, especially as more and more disturbing allegations are continuing to come out about the church in recent years.
And at number 10, fake relationships. I think at this point it's clear that most Hollywood relationships are faked for PR. Occasionally these fake relationships actually turn into real love, but most of the time these fake couples split as soon as the movie comes out, making it painfully obvious. One of the most obvious cases of this was the on and off again relationship between Robert Pattinson and Kristen Stewart during the Twilight days. These two would always be in a relationship when their newest movies were dropping, but then a few weeks after the release, they would break up. Since they split almost immediately after the final Breaking Dawn movie was released, it's clear that it was all a lie. Also, the pair looked so uncomfortable when they were together, and now that we see what they look like in a happy relationship, it's clear that they weren't in one. And at number 9, paid paparazzi. If you've ever wondered why some celebrities look amazing in paparazzi photos while others don't, it's because a lot of celebrities hire their own paparazzi to make sure they never look bad in a photo. The most recent celebrity to get called out for using this tactic was Addison Rae. While Addison was out in New York, she happened to get a ton of great photos of herself out and about in the city, and Page Six called her out for tipping off the paparazzi about her location so she can get a ton of good pictures. Page Six called it, quote, "a move straight out of the introductory course at the Kardashian Institute of Advanced Fame Grasp." Apparently Addison specifically wanted good photos of her outfits so that she could become known for her style. This move has long been used by the Kardashians back when they were up and coming, and now it seems that Addison is taking tips from her new friends. And at number 8, fake bodies. It's no secret that almost everyone in Hollywood has had some work done. Usually it's minor things like Botox and fillers to maintain youthfulness, but some celebrities went through major changes before making it big, and these cosmetic procedures were the reason that it all happened. Apparently it's an open secret that celebrities will change their bodies to adapt to the times to maintain marketability. But the worst part is that most celebrities don't own up to these big changes, so fans will think these people are effortlessly perfect, and it starts to impact the everyday person's self-esteem. One of the most common procedures seems to be a nose job, and most celebrities that are deemed au naturel have had it done. Blake Lively, Scarlett Johansson, and Jennifer Aniston are just some of the celebrities that fans are convinced had nose jobs, but they will never admit it to fans who think it's all elite genetics. And at number 7, award show corruption. Many fans assume that Oscars and Grammys are given to those who truly deserve it, but once you pull back the curtain, that's really not how it works. And an open secret is that anyone who wants to win one of these awards must campaign for it and basically bribe the judges. This can be in the form of actual money or things like vacations and expensive gifts. Back in 1981, actress Pia Zendora won the Best Newcomer award for her role in the movie Butterfly. It was a shock to everyone until it was exposed that her husband paid off the voting members to ensure that she won, and over time the practice did not get better. In 2011, publicist Michael Russell sued the Hollywood Foreign Press Association for firing him. He was trying to expose the corruption with the award show, and they didn't like that. The parties settled the dispute out of court. And at number 6, cheating. Movies often take months to film. That's long, grueling hours away from family and friends, stuck with the small same group of people. Because of how it all works, movie sets are breeding grounds for extramarital affairs, especially if you're spending a lot of time with your love interest in the movie that you're hugging and kissing all day on set. There are truly too many examples to name, but there's a solid chance that one of your favorite actors cheated on their spouse during the filming of a hit movie. The most famous are Angelina Jolie and Brad Pitt in Mr. and Mrs. Smith, and Kristen Stewart and director Rupert Sanders during the filming of their project. And obviously, this this happens a lot more than it's reported.
In at number 5, Daniel Radcliffe. Where does the time go? It feels like only yesterday that we were watching the adventures of Harry, Ron, and Hermione. Although because we were so engulfed in following Daniel Radcliffe bring this character to life, we failed to notice when he grew up. Not only that, but his confession that he had a drinking problem was sadly something that no one wanted to hear about. Thankfully, he beat this in 2010, but the actor himself has revealed that he would show up to the set of Harry Potter still intoxicated from the night before. Daniel said that there were times during his teen years where he felt like he was being watched, and while admitting that most of that may have been in his own head, he still didn't know how to deal with it. During an interview with Off Camera, he said, "In my case, the quickest way to forget about the fact that you're being watched is to get very drunk." In an interview for The Guardian, he said that he turned to alcohol to cope with the pressure of fame and potential failure. And as I mentioned, he has been sober since 2010, but said that his friends played a big role in his recovery. Although he did reveal some pretty crazy stuff about being intoxicated while filming Harry Potter. Daniel said, "I can honestly say I never drank at work on Harry Potter. I went into work still drunk, but I never drank at work. I can point to many scenes where I'm just gone, dead behind the eyes." That really changes that movie series for me. In at number 4, Jackie Chan. There are very few actors in the world that have forsaken their health and safety like Jackie Chan just in order to do their own stunts. As a master of the martial arts, he's put his skills to the test both physically and comedically. Over the course of his illustrious career, he has injured himself countless times but somehow remains unfazed. It's most likely because Jackie grew up in a family of risk takers. His mother, Li Chan, was a drug dealer, and his father actually was a secret agent for the Nationalist Guard. His father ended up fleeing to Hong Kong after Mao took power in 1949, and his mother was forced to abandon her first 2 children due to extreme poverty. Jackie Chan's parents actually met in the most bizarre way possible, a reason for meeting that Jackie would keep quiet for many years. Li and Charles Chan met when he busted her for drug possession. He ended up taking pity on her and then just letting her go. I mean, what an origin story for this Hollywood superstar. In at number 3, Richard Pryor. More often than not, comedians have very tragic backstories, and that can certainly be said for the legendary comedian Richard Pryor. The actor and comic struggled with addictions throughout his life. He was married 7 times and even lit himself on fire once. However, his upbringing was even more of a personal struggle. Richard Pryor's mother, Gertrude, was a prostitute who worked out of his grandmother Marie's brothel. When Gertrude abandoned her son when he was only 10 years old, he was left in the hands of his abusive grandmother. Pryor's paternal side also didn't do him any favors. His father, Leroy, was a hustler and a boxer, yet despite his own demons and secrets, Pryor was able to turn his pain into comedy. In at number 2, 50 Cent. A lot of rappers talk about living a gangster lifestyle, but some of them actually do it. 50 Cent might seem egotistical and talk a big game, but the rapper has had a very tough childhood. The rapper, whose real name is Curtis Jackson, was born in Queens, New York, and his mother, Sabrina, was just 15 years old when she gave birth to him. Sabrina ended up turning to drug dealing to feed her son and became one of the most notorious drug dealers in the area. Unfortunately, she was killed in an unexplained fire when Jackson was only 8 years old. Still, he would go on to follow in her footsteps with drug dealing and was even shot 9 times in May of 2000. At the age of 19, an undercover police officer had arrested Jackson for selling 4 vials of cocaine, and then his home was raided 3 weeks later. He was then sentenced to 3 to 9 years, and he went to a boot camp instead to get his GED, but at this time he was already rapping and took on the name 50 Cent, which actually was an original moniker of a Brooklyn crook from the 1980s. Bunch of secrets in there for you that you can read on an autobiography page. Last but certainly not least, our number 1 spot, Keith Richards. Nobody who started their career in the music business in the 1960s, and I mean nobody, has remained untouched by the glorious days of sex, drugs, and rock and roll. This is especially valid for the musicians of the legendary rock bands, most of whom have admitted to having consumed all kinds of substances in their time. But none of those are as bizarre as the one that Keith Richards of the Rolling Stones is said to have sampled. In 2007, a magazine revealed that the 72-year-old guitarist once mixed his father's ashes with cocaine and then snorted him. The veteran of drug marathons was convinced that his father wouldn't have objected at all, and added that he went down pretty well. Many years later, Richards realized that being still alive after decades of drug and alcohol abuse was just pure luck. He also advised that others not follow in his footsteps and definitely abstain from snorting their parents.
Starting off this countdown, we have Taylor Swift. Over the years, Taylor Swift has had to deal with a number of stalkers. One scary experience happened to her in 2015 by an obsessed fan named Frank Edward Hoover. It started with him sending Swift's father disturbing letters saying that he was going to kill their entire family. He said, and I quote, "I'm going to end all the Swifts one day because I can't stand that virus shit your daughter spreads." He said that he was the real son of God and that the Swift family was an evil family of devils. In 2016, he was arrested after following Taylor Swift and her family from her concert to the airport. He then approached Taylor and said that he needs to accompany her wherever she goes. Even restraining orders couldn't keep him back. In the end, he was sentenced to 10 years of probation. Sadly, Taylor has received a number of threatening emails and letters from obsessed fans. One Texan man was actually arrested after writing to Taylor that he was going to take advantage of her and then kill her. Moving on, at number 9, we have Beyonce. Back in 2009, Beyonce received threatening letters from a man who was convinced that the real Beyonce was dead and was now replaced by an imposter one. This imposter one was the one that killed the real Beyonce. It's crazy, I know. So he was threatening Beyonce, being like, "You killed the real Queen Bee. I'm gonna come for you." He then sent her a book full of notes on religion because he thought that it would help her. In 2013, she actually had to amp up her security game for her concert in London as this man was going to be there. He sent emails threatening her, saying that he was going to be there and was going to sneak past security and get to her. In the end, she filed and won an anti-harassment order. Moving on, at number 8, we have Justin Timberlake. In 2009, a woman named Karen McNeil showed up at Justin Timberlake's home claiming to be God. That's not all though. She said that she was destined to rule the world with Justin by her side. And as you can imagine, Justin was very creeped out by this. Not only that, but she showed up in a taxi at Justin's house with all her belongings in the car, as if she was just ready to move in with him. In the end, Timberlake filed a restraining order against her, which resulted in her having a major freakout in court. In our 7th spot today, we have Lindsay Lohan, which, first of all, I have to say something. Lindsay recently posted a TikTok in which she says her name, and turns out it's pronounced Lohan, not Lohan. Like, we've been saying it wrong for years. My whole life is a lie. I've been pronouncing it Lindsay Lohan. It's Lohan. Anyways, okay, I'll get over it eventually. In 2011, Lindsay tweeted out a picture of a photo of a man that had been stalking and threatening her. She tweeted out, and I quote, "This is the Freemason stalker that has been threatening to kill me. While he is trespassing, I'm actually scared now. The blood in the cult book was too much." Sources at the time confirmed that Lindsay was indeed being stalked, but they didn't reveal much more information on it. Then in 2014, she was being harassed again, this time by a man named Daniel Vorder Woolbeck, who thought he was actually married to her. He called himself King Lionheart and believed the two had deep conversations on the daily, which he was just making up. Lindsay was so scared that she was actually scared to go outside. She was nervous and was constantly looking over her shoulder to make sure that she wasn't being followed. In the end, he was sent to prison for 12 weeks before being subjected to mental health treatments for 12 months. In our 6th spot today, we have Gwyneth Paltrow. In 2000, Gwyneth Paltrow had a fan constantly send her letters, flowers, and explicit material. Not only that, but he would continually show up at her parents' house and would lurk around her own home. The fan didn't think he was doing anything wrong in court, and he said, and I quote, "If a man gives a woman unconditional love, she is blessed." But Gwyneth did not think the same way. She testified saying that she was being terrorized by him and was constantly having nightmares about her stalker and being harmed by him. In 2001, he spent 3 years in a mental health facility. When he got out, he went right back to his old ways. In 2016, he was back in court for, again, harassing Gwyneth and her family. This time, when Gwyneth testified against him, he said he was going to cut out sin from her body with a scalpel.
5. Theo James and Shailene Woodley. These are some names you may not be super familiar with unless you were a teen in the early 2010s. James and Woodley are the stars of the Divergent series, young adult films about a dystopian future where society is split into 5 factions, and one girl who does not fit into any one specific category. Woodley plays the leading lady, Triss Pryor, and Theo plays the leader of Dauntless named 4, aka Tobias. In the books, Tobias and Triss meet under strange circumstances and spark an intense romantic fuse. They then spend the next 2 movies running together from the faction elites. Playing a couple on set, though, seemed to have given the pair a brilliant idea as they began appearing closer and cuddlier as time went on. Many times in interviews for the second Divergent movie, the pair can be seen making cute comments and subtly flirting with each other, but sadly their fake love was not meant to last, as with the franchise coming to an end in 2016, so did their PR stunt. The couple maintained that the relationship actually never took place, but judging by the on-screen chemistry, that actually might be true. That might be true. Number 4. Kid Rock and Pamela Anderson. The singer and the lifeguard. Sounds like a cheesy sitcom, right? Well, that was the actual combo that took place when Kid Rock and Pamela Anderson began an on-again, off-again relationship in the early 2000s. At first only dating, on and off again, the couple were then engaged after a reunion in 2003. They would call it off one more time before they tied the knot officially in 2006, only to file for a divorce soon after that. The back and forth nature of their relationship is not uncommon in the world of Hollywood, with many high-tier couples breaking up and reconciling over and over again. But what is uncommon is that the couple were airing out every single bit of dirty laundry for the public to see, and soon speculation turned to truth, as it was uncovered by a Hollywood insider that the couple's troubled history and rocky road were merely an attempt to keep themselves relevant in today's media circus. The plan didn't work, as most of you watching this right now probably don't even care about these guys at all, and some of you might not even know who either of these people are. So if that's the case, please go find some good old seasons of Baywatch and prepare to be amazed. Number 3. Emma Stone and Andrew Garfield. For those of you who may have forgotten, between the original Spider-Man trilogy starring Tobey Maguire and the newest trilogy of Spider-Man movies starring Tom Holland, lived a little universe in which Andrew Garfield was Spider-Man, and Sony was his ruler. The Amazing Spider-Man franchise only pumped out 2 movies between 2012 and 2024. Garfield played Peter Parker, aka Spider-Man, in the franchise, and fan favorite Emma Stone was cast to play his leading lady, Gwen Stacy. From day one on the set, the two were inseparable, spending every second of free time they had together and developing what can only imagine must have been a strong and long-lasting bond. However, these two getting together was just a little bit sus. People fall in love on set all the time, but this couldn't have been a more perfect setup if you tried. On-screen love interests who take up a majority of the film's runtime, with their undeniable chemistry shining through scene after scene, not to mention they're together in the movie for real, like you fall in love with Gwen Stacy. Anyways, this almost feels like an extreme form of method acting, because the couple were together for the entirety of the franchise, 4 years, only to call it quits a few months after the premiere of The Amazing Spider-Man 2. They've maintained a strong friendship ever since, but we really do miss you guys. Come back, Gwen. Number 2. Carmen Electra and Dennis Rodman. This PR stunt lasted for all of 2 weeks in 1998. Carmen, who was then popular for her skills as a singer as well as a gifted dancer, met the famous basketball player Dennis Rodman at a nightclub in Los Angeles. They exchanged numbers and Rodman bombarded Electra with phone calls after phone calls until she finally agreed to hang out. Classic move, Dennis. Negging. They started seeing each other regularly, with Rodman once even clearing out the Chicago Bulls training center so that the two could have some fun together, uninterrupted, and anywhere their little hearts desired. They got married like most couples around the time did, in Las Vegas, baby! The two were married on November 14th, 1998, only to file an annulment 9 days later. Rodman claims to have not been in the right headspace when he agreed to the marriage, and the two haven't spoken to each other in years. Reporters and paparazzi were very skeptical about this move, as the couple's ups and downs had taken over the media circuit for months, causing Electra to get her name out there more, which was super convenient seeing as she had just started building up her repertoire in the movie industry, starring in cult classic movies like Good Burger, as well as a recurring character on Baywatch. There's a good chance she would have made it on her own, but hey, it never hurts to publicly suffer first, right? Number 1. Kim Kardashian and Kris Humphries. Kris Humphries is a former basketball player, and Kim Kardashian is, well, Kim Kardashian. The reality star and basketball player began dating in 2010 after his New Jersey teammate Jordan Farmer introduced them in New York. Less than a year later, the couple were engaged and officially married at a beautiful summer wedding. Of course, all of this was front page on social media and news outlets, causing a massive buzz for both the couple and the reality show. But after just 72 days of marriage, Kardashian filed for a divorce, simply claiming they were not getting along at all. However, Kris has a different story. He simply wasn't following suit with the family's plans, claiming that Kim made him sign a prenuptial agreement before the wedding, granting her 100% of their earnings as a couple should they split. Kris filed his own annulment, claiming fraud and stating that the only reason she married him in the first place was for the TV ratings. And this was absolutely true, as proven with her immediate bounce back to Kanye West, as well as the couple's time on the show being some of the highest viewed episodes of season 6. While Kardashian knew the relationship wasn't going to work out, Kris didn't, and the entire thing was very real for him. So like, hey, Hollywood, chill out with the fake couples for a minute, you know?